local rivals like Agora, like Westlake. Now the Coyotes in position to do something special after competing for their first league championship for a decade in the last game of the regular season.
The first thing you have to look at with this team, I think we'll get into this later, Eric, if this team was in the Massive 10-team Marmani League in a year or two, they might have been able to compete anyway, and I think we'll talk about that a bit later on. But when you look at this team, it is a very young football team. Only 2 players on the starting roster tonight for Calabasas that played football at all at the varsity level last season. They'll also start 10 freshmen and sophomores. Staggering figures.
Well, and it really makes what the team's been able to do this season all the more impressive, particularly look when offensive side of the ball. This is a team, Danny, that averages over 5 touchdowns per game offensively. They've had 3 times this season where they've cracked the 50-point plateau. On the other side of things, Buena has had offense this season as well. You get the sense that we may be seeing a lot of points put on the board tonight.
Yeah, Buena has given up 50 points. They did 3 times in 4 games, and then, of course, again last week to Ventura. Eric, you covered that game in my place. What a fine job you did as well. As I enjoyed looking back and watching that broadcast. What went wrong in your eyes for the Bulldogs last week?
Thing that Buena ran into trouble is making the mistakes that you can ill afford to in a rivalry game, and that's turning the ball over. Anytime you turn the ball over 5 times, you're going to be hard-pressed to be in a game, much less win a game, particularly when you're taking on a team like Ventura, who ended the regular season 9-1 Channel League champions, and pretty well put that game to bed off a fumble on the opening kickoff of the second half.
I'm hearing the drum roll. I thought we were leading into the national anthem there or something. I guess we'll have to wait for our country's anthem, which should be coming here momentarily. The Coyotes have yet to take the field. The Buena Bulldogs on the opposite left side, kind of an interesting look out to our left as they have one straight line, sort of one solid message for the Buena Bulldogs. And away to our right, the Coyotes prepare to take the field, dressed in all black, as you will see. It's a new set of uniforms, a new sponsor, a new feeling here as the Calabasas Coyotes prepare first postseason football game in more than a decade. Eric, covering high school football in the area for a number of years, I would have wondered 5 years ago, 4 years ago, last year, if this day would ever come, really, again for Calabasas. And it has with a bang. This is a dangerous football team.
Certainly is, and it makes for what's going to be an incredibly entertaining first-round matchup here in the CIF Southern Section Western Division.
We are not only at Calabasas, we're all over, and we'll quiet down now for the national anthem. Over there, something, a nice rendition of the national anthem. Let's talk about this Western Division playoff picture here. Calabasas and Buena. Obviously, the winner of this game goes on to take on the top seed of course, in the Western Division. But there are playoff teams abound from Ventura County, obviously, and a couple struggling tonight, namely Oxnard trailing Torrance 7-0, and Rio Mesa scored. They're behind El Segundo 14-6. Still, now it is 21-6, pardon me. But at the same time, you have to say this division's wide open for a team like Ventura, Calabasas, Buena to go out and win, frankly.
Well, and that's one of the wonderful things about the restructuring of the leagues around Ventura County coming into this season. Not only do you have the opportunity for a team like Calabasas to compete for a Kenyan League championship, but you also have a bracket much more open than in recent past years when we've seen teams from the Channel League playing in the Northern Division with the other squads in the Marmonte League.
No chance whatsoever in past years for teams like Buena to really advance deep into the postseason. The Bulldogs beat Morro Bay last year, but then they went on to play Serra, a Serra team led by Jalen Green with Adoree Jackson. Just an absolutely loaded group. And Coach Gutierrez told me that in our call earlier this week, said basically, we knew even if we got one game that that was as far as we were going to go, because we were taking on a team with probably a couple future NFLers. Not anymore. Now it's a clean slate for county teams in the Western Division now that Serra and Chaminade and company have been bumped out of the Western Division all the way up to the Pac-5. And we'll keep you posted on those games tonight. By the way, too, the Pac-5 contests, Westlake and Mater Dei, of course, the showpiece game, as well as St. Bonaventure and Norco. Here we go, Hawk. Let's do it.
Before the ball gets booted away, Danny, quick scoreboard update for that game between St. Bonaventure and Norco. 7-0 Seraphs as of last update.
Sydney Croft kicks this away, and we are underway. Gaston Boucherou takes that, stretching wide to the right side, gets up to the 30, another little move at the 35. Now reversing field all the way to the opposite side, has some space beyond the 40, picks up a block, he crosses midfield. Great starting field position for Calabasas in all black.
2 blocks on that play. Jake Barton making the first block on the near sideline at the 35-yard line, allowing Boucherou to reverse field. But then, man, how about that absolutely leveling block set by Philip Castro? Very lucky that he didn't get called for a block in the back, although hitting on the side, you can see already Buena finds himself in a spot that they were in too often last week against Ventura, that with Calabasas starting in plus field position.
Yeah, absolutely. Backs against the wall time, and we've only had 13 seconds tick off the clock. 13 years since Calabasas has run an offensive play in the postseason. Here's Tristan Gebbia, starts from the pistol, play fake. He's already looking downfield for Keyshawn Johnson Jr., and what a one-handed catch. Penalty flag down, and Keyshawn Johnson Jr. sounded out our broadcast team earlier today and basically insinuated, I'm going to have a big night, and what a big start for this young man.
Can't really ask for much better coverage from the likes of Eric Mechelin and the secondary. Just absolutely all over, not giving much space. The flag on the play goes as a face mask, so you can add some additional yardage on top of what was already a 21-yard gain on the reception.
And just like that, a special teams play, and then a brilliant one-handed grab to make his dad proud. And, of course, that is Keyshawn Johnson Jr., the son of the former USC and Tampa Bay great. Here's an inside handoff to Eric Hillman. And Hillman up a couple of yards. Let's take you through the start for this Calabasas Coyotes team. Across the line, not much experience. Cameron Clifton, Willie Tuilahamaka, you said it's got to be Willie, right, Eric? Not William. Thomas Perez at the center spot. Richard Watkins at the left guard. Stephen Bravko left tackle. Germani Brown, Keyshawn Johnson, and Emmanuel Usachukwu in the end zone. Just as soon as he's named in the starting lineups, he has his 10th touchdown catch of the year. Less than a minute in, the homestanding Coyotes lead 6-0.
Really not much more you could ask for if you're a Calabasas fan on that first drive. Plenty of time in the pocket for Tristan Gebbia to throw over 2,600 yards through the air on the regular season. And we saw in the game against Ventura, Buena, I should say, struggled in getting to the quarterback for Ventura. The big thing for them now is they have the opportunity to respond on offense is they're going to need to protect Noah Martinez because he was running for his life in that game against the Cougars last week. Even so, 3 plays down the field, take advantage of a penalty on. Couldn't go any better for Calabasas just 57 seconds into the ball game.
Cameron Clifton knocks PAT through, and it is 7-0 already. Casey Clausen and company feeling confident to start things off. We will get our first look at Buena offensively momentarily, and how important is it for Noah Martinez and company to respond here in the opening few minutes of this game? I mean, you give up a touchdown on a couple of really outstanding plays, and you need to answer back.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you consider in the game against Ventura, Buena defensively did a great job the first 4 or 5 drives of keeping Ventura's running back, Tyler Peralta, from really getting on track. If they can get a couple stops here, that's really the biggest difference, I think, in this ball game, because both of these defenses have been prone to give up points. Calabasas has averaged 32.1 points against thus far this season.
Buena set to take it back with Josh Davila. He gets up to the 20-yard line and is eventually hauled down about 5 yards later. Josh Madison on the tackle for the Calabasas Coyotes. The Buena Bulldogs, led by record-setting quarterback Tim Gutierrez, the head coach at Buena. In 2 of his 3 seasons, he's lost his starting quarterback to injury midway through the year. The young man who was near the top of the county in pass efficiency and completion percentage, Martin Mijares, is on the sideline. Noah Martinez is starting running back and wide receiver on the year, 5'7", 180-pound senior, leads the offense. It's a fake reverse. They'll dump it back to Cookson, I believe. And the pass is incomplete. Trying to hit Cookson on the screen, not so much there. Let me jump through these starting lineups here. Jacob Lyle, Justin Price, the right tackle, right guard. Cade Johnson at the center spot. David Orozco, the left guard, and Jake Coleman is the left tackle for the Dogs. Cookson will see nearly all the time the running back spot. He'll be spelled by Mason Belling. Blake Burnett, the leading wide receiver, along with Connor MacArthur, Stephen Tuarte. And this time it's Martinez running on his own, and he picks up 5 yards. It's an interesting story for Martinez as he eventually became the quarterback at Buena, and this is his senior year with a 3rd down and 6 coming up. He transferred in from St. Bonaventure as a sophomore, battled Martin Mijares for the starting quarterback spot, lost out to Mijares, moved to running back, and now ultimately here he is playing quarterback in the first round of the postseason in his senior year. Dropping back is Martinez, flush, running to his right, throws down complete. Blake Burnett and a big first down as he gets beyond midfield, eventually taken down at the 47. That's a huge play as far as establishing the team.
And Buena has to be happy to be getting Blake Burnett involved in the offense on the first drive. It took them till the second half to get him involved in the game against Ventura, picking up a big first down and moving the ball into Calabasas territory.
The Bulldogs were worried last year when they Bennett coming into this season, 46 receptions, 712 yards. Blake Burnett broke the school record for receptions in a year with 67. Trying to sweep to the right side is Cookson as he cuts it back, and he is absolutely blasted for a 1-yard loss. So let me run through these Calabasas defensive starters quickly. Arthur Caslow at the defensive end spot. Zach Boyle, the freshman defensive tackle. You don't see that a lot. Michael Cohen, a senior DT. Sione Aliki, the 6'3", 250-pound junior, who you see drifting to the right-hand side, number 48. Along the linebacker spots, Castro, Baldwin, Darius Vukobradovic, and now Martinez throws in the direction of Nasir Bright, one of the starting corners. And that's good for about 6 yards. Joining Bright in the secondary, Emmanuel Osachukwu, Isaiah Hayes, and Jermani Brown. 3rd down and 6 now. Just 4 yards on that completion. Connor MacArthur, the wide receiver in the near side trips formation. Martinez drops, flushed again. Now looking to throw for Blake Burnett. These two have a nice rhythm, don't they?
They certainly do, and already, difference from last week, Buena has done a much better job of getting Martinez out of the pocket, rolling around. Appears to be much more comfortable on the run, particularly when he's not having breathing down his back. Of course, any quarterback's going to like the opportunity where they can set their feet and throw.
He still seems to be dealing with a lot of pressure already, Eric. A shift for the Bulldogs as Jordan Frazier, the tight end, moves right. It's clearly a running play, and Cookson will lose about 5 yards. The Coyotes have pretty much set up shop in the Buena backfield, at least when the Dogs are trying to run the football. Tried to stack things to the right side there, and it still wasn't enough.
Almost as if they're daring Buena to beat them with the passing game, especially it's a smart play when you consider that Martinez only starting in, his fourth game at quarterback for the Bulldogs?
That's exactly right. Now Cookson finally with some room to run, ultimately only gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Josh Cookson, senior, now over 1,000 yards on the season. Came into the game with 999 yards. 15 catches, 108 yards, 3.8 GPA. Kind of a yes man, says Tim Gutierrez, and in the right way. Whatever coach asks of you, he'll do. 3rd and 9 rolling right. Throws. Near side complete. Fine grab from Connor Sagendorf, and Sagendorf gets inside of the 15-yard line. 1st and 10. Buena. Martinez making all the big throws here early, Hawk.
Certainly, and we saw in the game against Ventura, Sagendorf, really a water bug type receiver. Get him in space and let him make things happen. Good job in picking up the 3rd first down of the drive, and now Cookson on the carry.
Yeah, and Cookson shaking off a couple tacklers and has the ball just inside the 6, just short of a 1st down, 2nd down and half a yard coming up. Big drive for Buena. Converted a couple key 3rd downs, and they need to punch it in if they're going to keep pace with this Calabasas team. Statement drive. It's Cookson again, waiting for his blockers, picking his way down to the 1-yard line, almost into the end zone. 1st and goal coming up. Great lead block there by Steven Duarte.
Tell already on this drive, Buena coming out and looking to establish that run game. They were not able to do it against Ventura. And when this Bulldog team has been most successful, you look at the 3 wins in Channel League play, it's the balance. And the way the team has spread its plays out thus far this season, they run just under 53% of the time. When they have that success, certainly makes the play calling that much more effective.
Effective, easy, 6 points. Noah Martinez just sort of rolls on in. Touchdown, Buena. They're within an extra point of evening things up. And I must say, after the first couple plays, I'm a bit surprised that they marched downfield. Well done, Dogs. Game on. Sidney Cruft on to kick the extra point. The regular kicker, Jacob Bentivolio's out injured. Sidney Cruft, a senior, young lady who has come in, filled in admirably. To my knowledge, the only female kicker in Ventura County this year. We had Hannah Green last couple seasons. I know Sydney played last year as well. And at the 6:48 mark of this first quarter, it is 7-7. Game on.
Game on, and this is what we expected, Danny. Knowing that both of these offenses very effective about putting points up on the board, defensively a bit porous at times. You get the sense that whoever can make the first stop of the game or maybe get a turnover is going to go a long way to determining who wins this football game. When you talk about turnovers between the two sides, neither of these defenses are particularly greedy when it comes to turning the ball over.
Not like the Ventura defense last week. What was it, 5 in the Cougars win?
Yes.
Cruft will kick away. A lot of scores coming in. We'll get them to you right after this kickoff. Waiting back deep, Jermani Brown and Gaston Boucherou. And Buena will kick away in the all-white uniforms. Black helmets, black and light blue trim. And this will be taken and fumbled at the 24-yard line. And just the old hold-on tackle as Cameron Carroll is able to bring down the return man. Calabasas has field position about 28 yards where they did prior. Well, if there was to be a big upset tonight involving a Ventura County team, it would be Camarillo taking down top-seeded Lompoc. And they're even with Lompoc on the road, 14-14. Of course, the number 2 seed in that division is Newberry Park on the opposite side of the bracket. Simi Valley's tied with North Torrance 7-7. El Segundo leads Rio Mesa 21-13 as the Spartans have scored. Royal and Paso Robles tied 7-7 in the second quarter. Same score between Oxnard and Torrance. First down and 10 from the 23-yard line. 3 wide receivers near side. Now they motion out. Eric Hillman throwing downfield again. Gebbia, wide open Osachukwu, but way overthrown. Incomplete pass, and opportunity missed.
Really looked like one of those probing testing plays to look at this zone defense that Buena's running on there. You saw that Osachukwu was all alone back behind. The throw, if it's not 5 yards overthrown, very well could end up being 1 for 6. Thankfully for Bulldog fans, it's just 2nd and 10.
Well, and you could see for this Buena team, members of the secondary and linebacking corps sort of talking things over, trying to determine what went wrong there. Here's Gebbia. He's flush from the pocket, brought down from behind. It'll go for a 2-yard gain, 3rd down and 8 on the way for the Coyotes.
That's interesting because you don't generally see Gebbia as a running quarterback. He's been much more content to pass from the pocket this year for the Coyotes.
Only 24 rushing yards, and that will likely go as encroachment on the defense. I don't think anyone moved on the offensive side of the football. That's confirmed. That makes it a much easier and more manageable 3rd down and 3 than the alternative 3rd and 8. Same formation, 3 wide receivers off to the far side of the field. Gebbia peers back into his offensive coaching staff. Remember Casey Clausen's brother Rick, the offensive coordinator, and it's a handoff to Hillman. Hillman brought down right at the sticks, but I believe he'll end up being about half a yard short. Ooh, this is close. No, it is a first down. Pardon me, Hawk.
Yeah, that late burst at the end there, just enough to get him through and pick up the first down.
Just one correction. Simi Valley's on top of North Torrance, actually, 7-6. St. Bonaventure scored again. They lead 21-14. Gebbia flushed again, and he'll go down this time behind the line. Drew Mathis, the big junior linebacker, big play on first down.
And that's going to be the big thing for this Buena defense. If you can get Calabasas working in 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations, though Gebbia has the arm to convert on those, it certainly makes your job as a secondary much easier. How about that from defensive captain Drew Mathis coming up with the first big play defensively for the Bulldogs?
On 2nd and 13, Osachukwu incomplete. Point well demonstrated there, Eric, because Calabasas forced to throw only 7-8 yards downfield, but more aggressive in their play calling, and now it's 3rd and long, 3rd and 12 to be precise. Pass intended for Osachukwu. Nice coverage on the play from Anthony Castillo, the junior defensive back. Joined in the secondary by playmaker safeties Cameron Carroll, Moises Vargas, and now Gebbia. On 3rd and 12, throwing near side, back shoulder, Osachukwu, and he brings it down.
This may be an interception here.
To me, it looked like Osachukwu hauled it in and brought it down, but no! They'll say it's picked off by the Bulldogs. The Calabasas coaching staff cannot believe it. And a little bit later on, we'll take a look at the instant replay. To me, he caught that, landed on his back, and then the Buena player, crafty as could be, Anthony Castillo, pulled it out. Great heads-up play by Castillo. Play right there.
Absolutely. You know, that's why coaches tell you, fight for the ball if you're in the secondary, no matter what the contest is. Both the players go to the ground, equal possession in the eyes of the official. Great on Castillo to keep the battle up all the way down to the pellets and come away with the first takeaway of the ball game for the Bulldogs.
Now Buena will go to work, fake the reverse. Martinez, nowhere to go, just darts it over to his tight end. Stephen Duarte, better than a sack or an incompletion, picks up 2 yards. We'll pretend it was a running play. And second now and 7 on the way, pardon me. Officials stop play. Player's tying his shoelace for Calabasas. I gotta say, the new uniforms are pretty slick. They redid a lot of the facilities here. They're now sponsored by Nike. The Clausen boys have certainly shaken things up, and now a timeout called by the Buena Bulldogs. The first 53 seconds belong to Calabasas. The 7 minutes and 2 seconds since have really been more about Buena, wouldn't you say?
Oh, certainly, especially when you consider on their touchdown drive, able to melt over 4 minutes off the clock on it. Nice mix of pass and run, and that's really the thing. Just so long as the game remains close, Buena is able to use both of the ends of their playbook, which they really weren't able to do last week against Ventura, and particularly when you consider the running pedigree that Noah Martinez has. We've only seen him come out of the backfield once on a design quarterback run. It's something that the linebackers for Calabasas are going to have to pay particular import to as this game goes along.
Second down and 7 once we break the huddle and get out of the timeout. Interesting that the Buena coaching staff still addressing their players, while this all-star staff at Calabasas, Chris Claiborne, defensive coordinator, 55 at SC as I remember him, or number 50 for the Detroit Lions as you do, you being a Michigan native. Marshall Jones, former Trojan as well, running the secondary, played at Oaks Christian. Andy Flores, former Westlake assistant on board here. Bryant Wilson, who played at Alamany in Nebraska, coaches the running backs. And here's Cookson. This little run from Cookson. He just sort of picks his spot, doesn't he? And then puts together a nice little burst and gets a few yards.
Yeah, good job by the big right side of the offensive line there, opening up holes for him by Seth Swaney and Jacob Lyle there. Really, all Cookson needs is just a little crack to come through. Does a nice job picking up the 3 yards for it.
Martinez, fumbled snap, can't pick it up. He ultimately falls on the football. It is 4th down. There's a penalty flag down. Looked like a procedure penalty against Buena. Although Martinez is calling for this penalty to be against Calabasas. Let's see what the referee has to say, pardon me. Illegal procedure declined, and the Bulldogs will punt.
Yeah, that's the sort of mistake that you can't afford to avoid, particularly after coming up with the first turnover of the game. That's what was so important in the game last week. I realize referring back to it a lot, but Ventura cashes in on the turnovers in the ball game. Buena can ill afford, particularly in a win-or-go-home game such as this, to leave opportunities begging.
First punt of the game is muffed. Who's going to come up with it? The Bulldogs have it. The second turnover of the night for Calabasas. Second turnover in a series of just a few plays. 1st and 10, Buena on the 29-yard line.
Well, and it was a muff kick in the first half against Ventura that really helped turn things around in that game for the Cougars. Second turnover of the ball game, and now Buena, for the first time in the ball game, starting in plus territory, something that, you know, it's certainly a whole lot easier to find the end zone when you only have to go 30 yards versus 70.
29 to be precise, and a little swing route to Cookson. Cookson with a nice cutback, and he dives down for 5 yards. They are fired up over on the Buena sideline, although there's an injured Bulldog along that far side. It looked like there was a player ultimately blocking downfield that is favoring his right leg. Stephen Duarte, actually the tight end, the senior, 5'9", 200 pounds. And he's in a lot of pain. Looking at his right leg, rolled over onto his back. And Buena's ready to come on the field. The players, I should say, are ready to run a play, but obviously we may be stopped for a minute here as the athletic trainer is out to check on Steven Duarte, senior. What could be his last game, but he is putting pressure and coming to his feet. That's good news to begin with.
Already has a reception in the ball game. When you consider a lot of the ways that Buena likes to run the football is trying to get to the edge, mix it up with going between the tackles, and that's where a tight end is of particular importance. You need to have him on the seal-out block to allow what could be a small gain to possibly break bigger. So you certainly hope that Duarte's okay and he's able to compete here in his second season.
Second round beckons for the winner of this game in the Western Division. Blake Burnett, near side wide receiver. Doesn't matter. Cookson will run. Cookson bottled up, breaks it inside the 20 down to the 15-yard line. First down for the Buena Bulldogs. As I said earlier, Cookson now over 1,000 yards, and he just continues to impress. Light contact in the backfield, shakes that off, gets, 7 yards, Eric? Nice gain.
And that's the sort of thing that Buena is going to need from Cookson. If he can get off that first tackle and get to the second level, makes him that good as a running back.
Much easier said than done with the size of some of these Calabasas players, as Cookson does get to the second level and does get 5 yards. And, the interesting thing about the Calabasas defense is that you have a defensive tackle, right, in Michael Cohen, who's 5'11", 195. That's a little bit undersized. But then you have a 215-pound freshman linebacker, a 210-pound sophomore linebacker, and a 240-pound junior linebacker. I mean, there is a lot of size when it comes to this Calabasas defense, but there are certainly also some undersized players that Buena may be going at. Cookson again, right at the defensive tackle spot, and nothing doing here.
Nice job wrapping up by Stefan Brovko coming around the edge. It's interesting with the 3-down linemen, you see a lot more of the linebackers coming up and challenging at that point of attack. As we have a player forced to go off, Jack Coleman not allowed to. It comes off during the previous instance.
Yeah, Jake Coleman will have to leave, 3-year starter, 6'4", 280, the best lineman on this Buena team, probably all league. And on a big third down, you don't want one of your to be away from the field, and I think partially for that reason, Tim Gutierrez takes the timeout. You think that's why he took it? I mean, this is, an all-league lineman, important player. I feel like you want him out there on third down and 5.
Well, and this is a big third down with 1 minute and 16 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Remember, Buena, second turnover of the quarter, and really this is a spot where you're so close to the end zone, you almost feel that you have to come away with a touchdown. Calabasas has to feel like it's a victory of sorts if they can force a field goal attempt out of this.
Sydney Cruft has never kicked a field goal in a varsity football game as well, and I know she has a decent range. She could probably hit from 11 yards out, but that said, hasn't kicked in a varsity game.
It's a heck of a time to have to attempt your first varsity field goal, first round of the CIF postseason. Taking on a Calabasas club, playing their first playoff game since 2001. It really is kind of remarkable when you think about this Buena program that this is the first time in the last 10 years that the Bulldogs have made the postseason in back-to-back years when you consider the long and successful history of this program.
Still have yet to reach a CIF championship game. Here's Martinez rolling out, throwing across his body. Dangerous toss and a diving almost interception from the safety along that side, Josh Madison. Penalty flag down. The 3-yard line, though. About 7 yards downfield. Defensive holding. Crippling penalty against this defense on a big play. I didn't happen to see that, Eric. Did you?
I'll be honest, Danny, I didn't see the hold on the play either.
Looked like it was away from the play.
Must have been. There was a nice battle going on there, trying to get Sagendorf on the out sideline. Nice diving play made in the secondary, but now first and goal from the 5 coming up here.
Ball right near the middle of the field in terms of width. Just over a minute to play. Martinez will work from the shotgun. A fake reverse. Martinez up the middle and into the end zone. Touchdown, Buena. Back-to-back scores for the Bulldogs as they capitalize on the turnover from 29 yards out. It's 13-7.
Noah Martinez, the last Bulldog to score in the CIF postseason before this evening's game, scored the lone touchdown in the loss to Sarah in the quarterfinal loss last season. He also had 3 touchdowns in their opening round win at Morro Bay. Buena 1-0 on the road in CIF postseason games the last 10 years. In a good spot here. And thing to keep in mind, Danny, Buena's been holding the ball for a lot of this first quarter. You wonder, as this game goes along, you know, it's conditions I like to call California chilly. It's not exactly cold here. I know Midwestern folks probably wouldn't describe it as such, but when you consider the moisture in the air, the bit of a breeze we have, it's something that you wonder going on down the fourth quarter, how is this Calabasas defense going to be able to deal with an offense in Buena that has been running Josh Cookson, running Noah Martinez at you pretty strong thus far in the ball game.
You're crazy, dude. I'm freezing. Are you kidding, man? I even put on my thick socks. I should have brought the wool ones. I don't even have gloves. A beanie would have helped. It's cold. Are we into the 40s yet? Probably low 50s.
I believe when I looked at kickoff, the temperature said 68, but
if it's 68, I'm going to be able to show my face in public again. Drum roll, please, as we all pull out our devices.
64.
No. That's not true. It's got to be at least, in the 30s. Man.
Look, like I said, Danny, it's California cold.
Oh, my gosh. Look how cold it's going to get over the next couple hours. By the time we're done, it could be 55 degrees. That's like stay inside, cancel school, hide your pets.
Check on your loved ones.
No, seriously. Call the National Weather Service. Let them know we have an emergency.
Do not allow your elderly relatives outside.
It did rain overnight, which was obviously good for the area, and you can tell there's a little bit of a residual effect lightly on the field. And stoppage play, penalty flag, delay of game. Well, Casey Clausen, when I talked to him earlier this week, he said the only way that we're going to lose this football game and maybe even a couple playoff games is if we make big mistakes, and they are making mistakes right now, this young football team.
Yeah, unfortunately for Coach Clausen, his football team playing like his hockey team right now. Los Angeles not having the best run of form.
Wow.
Calabasas got to get those mistakes cleaned up so they don't run into
taking a shot. The Clausens, big hockey fans. As I was interviewing him the other night, he was watching the game downfield. Oh, Sachukwu, and this time he comes down with it. Another sense downfield. Finally tossed to the ground. 1st and 10 from the 29. What a catch. And then a penalty flag down to the 46-yard line.
And if you're Calabasas, you have to figure you have the athletic advantage on the edge. Add a personal foul penalty at the end of the play against Buena. So thus far, Danny, we've seen that Gebbia has been really content to just hoist the ball up there and let his playmakers on the edges do exactly that. Thus far, Johnson, Gebbia, 2 big catches, 1 apiece.
it'll be interesting to see how these two styles, Buena with the grinded out approach and then Calabasas focusing on the big play, how these two different styles contrast throughout this contest. After the personal foul late in that play, a little bit of a late shove. The clock runs again inside of a minute with the score 14-7. And now the Calabasas students very creatively chanting, "We want a touchdown."
Can you blame them?
I do too. Here's Gebbia. He hands this one off. It's Hillman. A lot of room for Hillman. Ask and you shall receive. Touchdown, Coyotes. And they're back within a point. The first quarter still not even done.
Well, Danny, you talk about that contrast in styles. Buena working, grinding, finally punching the ball into the end zone. Calabasas, they're just throwing haymakers play-wise. Get the big passes through the air, and that's the thing you have to watch for, knowing when your linebackers are concerned about dropping back in coverage to give your safeties, your cornerbacks support. It's going to leave a whole lot of space for Eric Hillman to make plays, as he did right there.
Relentless jabs may lead to a decision, but haymakers frequently a knockout. Penalty against Calabasas, and they'll have to re-kick. Is this the type of situation where you make another mistake, maybe you miss the PAT and you're a point behind? I'm not sure if that's going to happen here. I'm just saying that these are the type of little issues that Coach Clausen talked to me about on Wednesday. So as we were saying, you're a big hockey guy, obviously, and Coach Clausen, as we got on the phone, said, I'm just getting home just in time for the hockey game. And I'm thinking, it's got to be, NBC Sports, Wednesday night rivalry game. And it was Kings-Ducks. What a game. 5-5 shootout loss for the Kings. I'm sure the Clausens weren't happy. This kick is good. They had to think about it for a second, but okay. Same result, 14-14. We'll get you to some of the scores at the end of the quarter here. This has been a first quarter that has lasted more than 40 minutes, which, as far as first quarters go, that's a long first period. I mean, that often happens during the fourth quarter in a tight game, but not always in the first.
Well, that's what happens when you have one team who is looking to pass the ball as often as Calabasas has. When Buena mixing things up, you did have the little delay for the injury in there to Stephen Duarte. Look to see if he's back out on this drive for Buena.
The lineman Clifton will kick away for Calabasas. It's an interesting kickoff formation for the Coyotes. Everybody's just sort of bunched together. Keeps the opposing team on their toes, although Buena doesn't seem to be changing their kickoff formation, maybe a little tighter. And Calabasas kicks away. This one is angling and will be returned by Josh Davila up to the 10. Davila gets out to the line and gets out to about the same spot he was on the last return. 25-yard line. 19 seconds remaining in the first quarter. All tied up at 14. And boy, there are some really good games going on involving area teams. You're going to have to hang with us as we head to the quarter to update you here on exactly what's happening. Cook's in the back for Martinez. 3 wide receivers near side. Duarte is back on the field. He's the wide receiver nearest to the offensive line on this near side.
Good to see.
Yeah, all by his lonesome is Blake Burnett on the far side of the field. It's a handoff to Cookson. Cookson goes for no gain, and that will bring to a close this first quarter of play. After one, Calabasas won, Buena won. Eric, it was a fun first period of play, wasn't it?
Oh, it certainly was, Danny. Exactly what you could hope for. Big plays, tough plays. You put up the comparison of a boxer throwing a bunch of jabs versus a boxer throwing a haymaker. Hey, Mike Tyson versus Floyd Money Mayweather is one of those dream matchups that, boxing people would like to think about, of course, weight classes and all figuring into it.
No. We deal in hypotheticals here. We don't worry about those sort of things, Eric.
But the beautiful thing is, there's no hypothetical needed here in front of us between Calabasas and Buena. It's the perfect example of contrast in styles. And we've only seen the pair of mistakes in terms of turnovers by Calabasas that were instrumental. Touchdown in the ball game, the 5-yard run by Noah Martinez on the interception thrown by Gebbia, and then the muff on the punt on that ensuing drive that Buena was able to recover deep inside Calabasas territory inside the 30. So let's see how they can go now that they have to traverse over 3/4 of the field.
Let's get to these scores here. We will right after this play on second down. Martinez backside pressure, throws the screen back across the field to Cookson. And Cookson had a couple blockers and a lot of space, but that was blown up by Darius Vukobradovic. Yeah, I took care of that one for you, don't worry. 30 tackles on the season for Darius Vukobradovic.
Maybe my favorite name on this entire Calabasas team.
I think for all of us. Osachukwu is good, though. Third down and 10. For Buena. And boy, Calabasas would love nothing more than a Bulldog 3 and out here. Martinez.
Blitz coming.
Dropping back, throwing over the middle of the field, and that's complete. What a toss from Martinez, taken down to the 35-yard line. Connor MacArthur for Buena. Another huge delivery on third down, his 23rd grab of the year.
Connor MacArthur, the big 33-yard touchdown reception against Ventura. It's been a nice tertiary option in the receiving game for the Bulldogs, and it makes your job that much harder as a secondary when you have to account to 3 and 4 different receivers.
On first and 10, Martinez keeps it on his own. Martinez sidesteps the ref, taken down at the 15-yard line. Here's some scores coming into us at the end of one. Grace Brethren leads Webb 20-14. Same time, Simi Valley 14, North Torrance 6. An absolute thriller in the Pac-5 as St. Bonnie leads Norco 28-21. Ventura 21, South Torrance nothing. In the second quarter, Mater Dei tops Westlake 7-zip just down the road here. Thousand Oaks trailing Atascadero 27-20. And Camarillo is leading Lompoc in the second quarter, 21-14. We've seen an upset of the number 1 team in that Western Division before, as Cookson takes it to the 18-yard line. Remember just 2 years ago, Sarah was the number 1 seed. Might have been 3 years ago now that I think about it. Sarah was the number 1 seed and lost in the opening round of the Western Division playoffs. That, of course, the Northern Division now where Lompoc is, but you get the point. 2nd and 6 for Buena as they looked all set to punt, and then a huge third down play for the Dogs. Has them back in the red zone, 2nd and 4. Motion man is Sagendorf. He gets it on the reverse. And Sagendorf picks up, maybe a yard. Another big third down here for Buena. You have to like the idea of Noah Martinez on the move.
Well, he's been very successful on the move thus far in the ball game. Getting him outside the pocket, particularly for a quarterback, maybe give him a better opportunity to look downfield and find some of those big receivers like Burnett.
Well, just running on his own, runs around the left side to the 10, 5, and he's thrown out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. Or just give him the ball and let him run with it. And a late penalty flag coming in for throwing him to the ground after he had stepped out of bounds. 1st and goal coming for Buena from probably about the 2.5-yard line. El Segundo leading Rio Mesa 42-20 at the half. Lompoc has just tied the game with Camarillo. Richard Foster, sought after recruit. 42.5 seconds left in the half. Boy, what a series of outstanding games. The only place to keep posted on those is right here. And, of course, on the VCS Preps Twitter account, which I recommend you follow.
If
at
you're
VCS Preps.
If you're watching us and you're not following that, what are you doing with your life?
Exactly. Inside handoff to Cookson. Cookson into the end zone. The third rushing touchdown of the night for the Buena Bulldogs. And they jump back in front 20-14. Eric, it was really all keyed by that long completion to MacArthur on 3rd and long.
Yeah, Connor MacArthur sets things up, opens things up by making the big grab over the middle. And, you know, we've talked about Noah Martinez's ability moving around, and that just opens up so much as well. And particularly also, considering that the 3-down lineman set that Calabasas has been using, it's almost a challenge to a running back like Josh Cookson, saying, all right, give us your best shot. Thus far, his best shot, been good for a couple scores.
He almost seems more comfortable physically throwing the football when he's on the move. I mean, really, he seems to put better zip on the ball and make better decisions when he's flush from the pocket. That is the running back in him. Anthony's rubbing his hands together, too. He's feeling it a little bit here. It's not just me. I need to put my other jacket on here, man. This is getting to be a serious situation. I can't even feel my toes.
Well, the amazing thing to me, Danny, is finding out that Martinez, as a sophomore, wanted to play the quarterback position. And it's something that Derry Eads and I marveled at, particularly in the game last week. His ability, when you talk about almost being more comfortable throwing on the run, that all he seems to need is just that one little step round and able to just launch the ball 40, 45, 50 yards if he needs to. Hasn't had to do that yet thus far, but certainly helped by a strong ground game from the Dogs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously losing Mijares was something that Buena did not anticipate. Here's Jermani Brown on the kick return, and look at Brown go all the way down inside the 45-yard line. Tremendous starting field position again for Calabasas. On the Coyotes scoring drives, they have started with the ball on the other side of their own 40 and have scored twice. They'll look to do so again here, trailing by a touchdown.
Danny, I'm curious, since you've been calling games all season, what is with this short kick set that a lot of the teams have been working this season? It seems more often than not, you know, you see a team with so many playmakers like Calabasas, it's almost daring and giving the opportunities for big plays. We've seen it more often than not here from the Coyotes thus far this game.
Yeah, really from both sides, from Buena as well. And I think there are a lot of dangerous kick returners out there, obviously. But I don't know. I think one of the things that really changes, is this another delay a game after a kickoff? Yeah, it is. Second time that's happened in a row. And Coach Clausen is not pleased. First down and 15, although it didn't stop Calabasas last time out. I think that teams don't recognize how important it is to force a team to try and go 75 or 80 yards, then 50 yards, then 60 yards. I'm not sure, you'd have to ask the coaches, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Then again, I'm just a broadcaster. Here's Brown on the reverse, gets across midfield, picks up the yardage lost on the penalty. Now tries to cut back, and both he and Osachukwu take a tumble. 6-yard gain, 2nd and 9. A lot of running for 6 yards.
Moises Vargas does a great job in the secondary, staying home, staying in his spot, not allowing Brown to get to the inside, find a seam there. Does a nice job allowing his help on the outside, and Davila to come up and finish that play off.
5'8", 155, one of the team leaders in both tackles and picks, 60 tackles, 3 INTs, which is tied for the team lead. Rick Clausen changing things up, the offensive coordinator. 2nd and 9. And here's the handoff by Hillman, who just scored the touchdown on the last drive. Quarter is moving by a little bit more briskly here on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. Remember, for all your vacation needs, visit your local Ventura County Auto Club office in Ventura, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, or Simi Valley. AAA.com/travel. That's AAA.com/travel. I bet Derry booked his trip to Panama on AAA Travel. Here's Hillman. Swing route for Hillman, 35. Inside at the 30. Stays on his feet, and another first down for Calabasas. Actually, it's their first down of the drive. It's a little surprising. Buena wanted to avoid giving up the big play, and that really hasn't happened tonight. They made a couple big plays on their own, mainly defensively with a pair of turnovers. One on defense, one on special teams, and now Hillman is blasted into the backfield. It's a scrum for the ball, although that seems a little silly. Jake Coleman with the tackle.
Woof. Coleman just sitting there waiting for the contact. Did a good job with the wrap and then the slam. Nowhere to go for Hillman after the initial contact. And that's something, you know, as a down lineman, it's your job to make sure you wrap and tackle. Too often, particularly with the linebackers, you see the proclivity to want to make the big NFL hit stick type hit.
Now with the quarterback out of the pocket, I think hit stick is exactly what's on the mind of a defender, although Gebbia ends up running for about 13 yards. 1st and 10 from the 11. Calabasas can get a first down inside the 1.
How about this? This is one of the first real protracted drives we've seen from the Coyotes thus far in the ball game.
Whereas that's all Buena has had. Gebbia, backward pass, Hillman. Hillman at the 5. Hillman stopped just short. 2nd down and 3, 2nd down and 2, coming from the 3. And judging by the red zone defense we've seen so far in this game, it's pretty much all academic from here. If one of these teams can get a stop of their opponent inside the 10 or create a turnover, that's the type of play that can turn this game around.
Well, we talked about earlier in the ball game, Calabasas gives up an average of 32.1 points per game. Buena gives up an average of 34.1 points per game.
Hillman stuffed. Well. Hillman stuffed on that one. And we're going to see some points in this game. We've already seen quite a few, although the pace has been, I don't want to say the pace is slower in this second quarter, Eric. I think it's just a bit more standard. You know, it seemed quite frenetic in that first period, and because there were so many big plays, we saw the quarter take nearly 45 minutes. Here's the quarterback, Gebbia, gets the first down. Does he get the touchdown?
Doesn't look like it.
Does not appear so.
I think it's interesting the way that Calabasas has decided to attack this Buena defense. A whole lot more running of Gebbia than we've seen over the balance of the season from the side.
And here's Gebbia again, tries to go over the top, and this time he's in. Crosses the plane of the end zone. Touchdown, Calabasas. They did not have a play on this drive for more than 13 yards. A total of 9 plays. Gebbia's into the end zone. It's 21-20.
This game just has one of those schoolyard sort of feels to it, doesn't it, Danny?
Yeah,
Last one to get the ball, maybe the one that ends up winning it. Got to go home for supper, Mom's calling.
It certainly does. I think the Buena needs to limit the big play, though, and Calabasas can't turn the ball over. If those two key statistics are tipped one way in the wrong direction for either side, then you never know. One of these two teams could really pull away. But at the moment, what a game we have on our hands. 21-21, 5:48 to go. Let's look at some of the other scores. Pacifica trailing Redondo Union 7-0 at the half. Otherwise, I'm sure we'd be on our way next week to Ventura Pacifica, which would be a great contest.
You know, it's interesting with that, Danny. Second week in a row, the Pacifica goes up against a team that prefers to run the ball, and having their problems against a Redondo Union side thus far. Other scores as we look at it. At the half, Newbury Park Panthers leading the 35-14. Drew Moore with a 5-yard touchdown run has put the Simi Valley Pioneers over top of North Torrance by a 20-6 mark. 21-21 in the Camarillo game late in the second quarter there.
Seems like the Western Division is basically Ventura County schools and the city of Torrance for the most part. You have Torrance in there. I think you have West Torrance and North Torrance.
Yep.
Redondo Union as well, South Bay team. I think that was supposed to be my high school, actually. Running to the left side for the Buena Bulldogs on the kickoff is the talented youngster Tennyson, and great field position for Buena. This is what Calabasas can't do. This is what a smart football team doesn't do, is give a team like Buena great field position, although really they're both doing it.
Yeah, at some point you have to give credit to the return man in this.
Right.
Great
Instead of being
athletic
critical
return,
of the cover teams. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can do that, sure, but man, oh man, Tennyson, particularly since he was the player that had the fumble on the opening kickoff to start the second half last week against Ventura. Love seeing him come up with a big play in special teams like that to start Buena off in plus territory.
And by the way, I wasn't insinuating Calabasas isn't a smart football team. They are. They're just a young team. Here's Martinez. That one's too high. Of course, he throws the ball too high. He's not under serious amounts of duress. Throws it a lot better when, he's not comfortable in the pocket. Second down and 10 now.
I'm not sure he'd want to have black shirts breathing down his neck, though, as he stands and fires in the pocket there.
I beg to differ. It's a matter of opinion, Eric, and my opinion is normally right. At least when I'm dealing with my normal color commentator, Derry Eads. Shout out to the Deuce. I'm sure he's listening. Safe travel. Down south, buddy. We're going to get, next week, we're going to have Deuce cruise ship photos on the show. Just hang tight. Here's a give to Cookson. Cookson, a little bit of room down to the 42, but there's a penalty flag, which will more than likely go against the offense.
Or if we didn't already give you enough reasons to follow at VCS Preps, Derry Eads cruise photos.
No, I'm not sure that's the message that our editors want to send. Is it really? We might get a lot of unfollows there. Of course, follow VCS Preps on Twitter at VCS Preps. And remember, if you like being in the know, subscribe to the Ventura County Star and discover what's happening in your neighborhood. At a price less than your daily cup of coffee, you can be informed and stay in the know. Sign up today, vcstar.com. vcstar.com, your local.
Great coverage not only of Preps, but of 3C2A athletics as
Wow,
well. You've
look
got
at
the
you, buddy.
Ventura College Pirates winning the Northern Division for the second time in 3 years. Back
in Bakersfield, I believe, tomorrow.
SCFA postseason. Yep, Joe Curley will be up. Give an update starting at 4 from there.
Look at Martinez go, and he goes way back. Now throws downfield, has a man open, misses him. There's a penalty flag 12 yards downfield, though. What a play that would have been from Martinez. And this would appear to be a defensive infraction, and with the only exception being offensive holding. No, it is defensive holding. There you go, Hawk, and another mistake from the Coyotes.
Well, that's one of the challenging things for a secondary when you're facing a quarterback with the ability to scramble around and create. It gives you that much more time where you have to deal with receivers running free, more opportunities for the holds and the flags to come out. This time Buena kept alive by the legs of Martinez, now finds themselves in second and manageable thanks to it.
Remember, holding penalties no longer an automatic first down. It's caught me off guard a couple times. On the season, Paso leads Royal 14-7. That's in the third quarter. MacArthur, the motion man, on 2nd and 5. Martinez rolling to his left, throws it downfield, and it's caught by MacArthur. 10, 5, and MacArthur into the end zone. Did he step out of bounds? No siree. Touchdown, Buena. Wow, what a contest.
Connor Mack's second week in a row with a 30-plus yard touchdown reception. Danny, we saw him earlier on in the ball game come up with a big reception that really seemed to loosen things up in that secondary and just left absolutely alone getting past the initial level in the secondary. It was a great job taking it the rest of the way for the 42-yard score.
Ooh, is no good, wide left. Missed PAT, and it's 27-21. That said, I think Buena will have plenty of chances to go for 2, and that Calabasas will have a lot of opportunities to miss a PAT. I think there's going to be a lot more points in this game. Halfway through, and it's 27-21. I think Tim Gutierrez is calling a brilliant game right now against an athletic Calabasas defense. We've covered Coach G quite a bit, at least half a dozen times over the last 3-4 years, and this is the best I've seen him as far as calling a game. It's been really exciting.
And doing it with a quarterback who didn't start the year under center. Even more impressive.
Huge, really. 4:53 to go in this second quarter. Remember, VCStar.com is your local news site. Nowhere else can you find the most comprehensive and up-to-date news, sports, entertainment. It's all about what's happening in your city and your neighborhood. Visit VCStar.com today. It's where Ventura County goes for news. For all your vacation needs, boys and girls, visit your local Ventura County Auto Club office in Ventura, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, or Simi Valley. Visit AAA.com/travel. That's AAA.com/travel. Look at that. We even got the logo in the top right corner. So they go a squib kick this time, Eric. Is that to your liking? Scooped up by Jermani Brown at the 20, and Brown is slammed down to the deck. There he is again. He fumbled on a kickoff, was it last week? Tennyson with a big tackle on special teams.
I like the decision, Danny, to squib kick it better than the short pop-up kick. It makes it more difficult for the forward blocks to set up for Calabasas. So it gives you better opportunity for an athlete like Tennyson to get down the field, be the first one in the area, and now force the Coyotes to have to go more than 70 yards if they want to have the opportunity to try and tie or take the lead in the ball game.
Plus, it's a little chilly out. I can't feel my feet right now. Pitch goes to the left side to Eric Hillman, and Hillman is ultimately forced out of bounds. Clock stops. He was finally taken out of bounds, I should say. 2nd down and 3 for Hillman. Sort of meandering our way to halftime. Oh, they'll say he stepped out of bounds a little bit further from where he was really thrown out. Longer 2nd and 6. Gebbia, quick throw, easy. Jermani Brown, I don't know why he's not involved more offensively. I think that's one thing that Calabasas can do is just take a deep breath and remind themselves what kind of weapons they have on the edge, what kind of advantage they have throwing the ball downfield. I think the Coyotes are just worried about A, a turnover, B, a turnover on downs, or having to punt, and thus giving the ball back to Buena. They want to make sure they score. And Hillman picks up a 1st down and fights his way toward midfield. A pack of Bulldogs, is that right? A litter?
They're not puppies.
That's true. Well, a couple of them. Tennyson's a sophomore,
A very fair point from you, sir.
First and 10 at the 48-yard line as the Calabasas band is warming up for halftime. Way to our left, quick throw to Hillman. Boy, he's been involved in a major way, and you can see the 40 Hillman still going. What a play down to the 35-yard line.
Late flag from the back judge.
Yeah, I think there was a misguided hit from one of the Buena players at that point. Nope, illegal block in the back on Calabasas. This one's coming back. And Casey Clausen can be in a lot of cases, I wouldn't actually call him mild-mannered. You know what I would call him? I'd call him a logical guy. He doesn't get mad when he doesn't need to. He's mad right now. He is not happy with some of the calls we've seen on the field, and he's pointing to previous decisions from the officiating crew. So the completion takes the ball to the other side of the 50, 1st down and 7, one of these awkward situations where the penalty gives a 1st down, but not a full 1st and 10. Gebbia. That's complete to Keyshawn Jr., and Keyshawn Johnson Jr. gets down to the 41-yard line. He's certainly got a lot to live up to, the young man, but he really has a confidence and style, athletic ability all his own. Seems like a great kid.
Hey, just so as long as he doesn't start writing articles in the Calabasas high school paper about throwing him the ball, I'm sure Gebbia will be happy.
I love Keyshawn. Keyshawn was like my first football player as a young USC fan. Went to that Rose Bowl against Northwestern in '96. Both he and I were there, although he was a little more important than me. Here's a pitch left side to Hillman. Hillman going nowhere. Absolutely stuffed on 1st down Big play from Moises Vargas. That's a 5-yard loss.
Vargas and Tennyson both not having it, smelling out the pitch from the very get-go. Rapping, driving, taking Hillman to the turf for the loss of 5.
6-point Bulldog lead as we near the 3-minute mark. Some of the other games are almost over. You know, some of these other playoff games are in the fourth quarter. We're not even at halftime.
Yeah, if we were on camera right now, I'd be turning to editor John Catalini and making the stretch sign.
Here's Gebbia. Completes it to Keyshawn Jr. again. Picks up 5. This is a great game, obviously, that we have on our hands. But there are a couple other really good ones going down. 28-28 between Norco and St. Bonaventure. Come on, Ricky. Make it happen, man. 3rd and 11. Gebbia changes things up.
Obvious passing situation here. You wonder how the Buena defense is going to deal with this. Linebackers dropping in zone coverage.
Complete to Jermani Brown. Brown, you can down 10-5, and he strolls on into the end zone. There's your answer, Eric. 3rd and 12. Big completion to Brown. The Coyotes tied up. They can take the lead on the PAT. That is the 4th touchdown of this second quarter between the two teams.
Back and forth, up and down, seesaw affair. You know, against a zone defense, you have to get the ball to someone in space. And if that someone is as athletic as Jermani Brown is, you're going to see something special happen like we were just treated to right there.
Been treated the whole night here. Plus, we're going to have like the last game going in the entire state of California, I want to say. Brown blasts that one through, and it's now Clifton blasts that one through. I wouldn't be surprised if Jermani Brown was also the kicker. 28-27. The Calabasas Coyotes now in front in this game. Now, there is a unique opportunity here for the Buena Bulldogs because there's 2 minutes and 3 seconds left. They get the football here, obviously, after the score, and then they get the ball to start the second half.
Big opportunity here, and especially when you consider the effect that the team has had in going downfield, particularly throwing to the likes of Connor MacArthur. Although don't forget, Blake Burnett has a big reception in this game already. The one thing that I look for, Danny, that may make things possibly difficult for that powder blue and black side, only the one timeout remaining as they had to spend 2 of them in the first quarter.
Calabasas with all 3 timeouts remaining.
To figure if you're Coach Clausen, this may be a spot where if Buena can't get something going quick, maybe take 1 or 2 of those timeouts so you can get the last touch before half.
Absolutely. We very well could go into halftime 35-27. We could also go into the half 34-28. You never know. Maybe even 30-28. With these two offenses, there are endless permutations as far as where this game is going. Let's see Clifton's kickoff, taken by Tennyson at the 9. Tennyson from the left side of the field needed to pick up a key block, and he dives ahead up to the 36-yard line. Nice starting field position for Buena. Yeah, it's a precarious position, I think, for the Bulldogs in some ways because you really do pick up at least 1 first down to keep Calabasas from getting the football back. Then again, you don't want to try anything too risky here and give Calabasas the ball back.
Certainly playmakers all over the field both ways. The absolute worst thing to happen here, though, for the Bulldogs would be a turnover. Thus far, they're +2 on that ledger in the ball game.
Pistol formation. Here's Cookson. Not surprised to see Buena start with the run, and Casey's going to let this play out and not take a timeout.
Brovko just staying home in that linebacker spot, waiting for Cookson to come to him and setting him down with authority.
Someone took a timeout. Oh, no, there's a penalty flag down. I didn't see it. And it's a personal foul against Calabasas. That's killer. Can't be making these sorts of plays, Eric. It's a better football team than that.
there's something to be said knowing that the history behind the game that you're playing in. You know, coaches often say they want to have their team so excited that they have to pick them off the ceiling of the locker room before they come out. The one thing that you run into is a possible problem that comes from that, though, if you're too amped up, too eager to make a play, and you make too much happen and you get flagged for it.
It's just about right when we consider what's happening here. 1st and 10 at the 44. Clock is running again. 1:42. Let it, and Cookson stopped for a 1-yard gain, maybe 2. I think Buena's just going to let this run down after this play, then try and go a bit downfield. You know, get the clock down right around the 1-minute mark, then attack. Although Calabasas, with 3 timeouts left, they can do anything. It's another run from Cookson. And does Clausen take one here? He's thinking about it. I suppose not. This is the most conservative approach we've seen from these two teams. You're obviously keeping a play-by-play over there as the print writer. You, of course, need to do so. This is probably more plays than you've seen in any game this season, right? I mean, that's a long-running list you have going over there.
Well, having to cover some Moorpark College football games where they run
at the high
counts
school level, you know,
up to 80 can be a bit much. But yeah, there's been a lot of action thus far in the ball game.
Backward pass, MacArthur throwing across the field, and that'll be a penalty flag against the Coyotes. Cookson was coming back in to get it. Really no complaint. Chris Claiborne and Casey. Nasir Bright.
This one may
it's almost like he was blocking on a punt.
This one may end up being offsetting flags, though, because you have one thrown at the line of scrimmage in addition to the one downfield for the obvious pass interference.
Yeah, illegal procedure. Buena. Pass interference. Calabasas. Penalties offset. Let's redo 3rd down with just 27 seconds left.
It's a lot like that old Nebraska play, although it wasn't Martinez leaking out and making the catch a la Eric Crouch.
Yeah.
First real bit of, we talked about George W. Bush taking office the last time that Calabasas was in the postseason. Yep. First time we've seen a little bit of strategery offensively from either of the teams.
Well, they haven't needed. They've just been able to move the ball downfield at will without any, as you called it, strategery. 27 seconds to play in this half. We'll take a break at halftime, rejoin you for the second half of play. And this time it's a reverse throwback to Martinez, who throws downfield again. And this one tipped up in the air and almost intercepted. So with 18 seconds left, Buena will probably, and Calabasas will have a play or two. I actually saw Rick Clausen, the offensive coordinator, take his headset off. They just want to take a knee and call it a day. Remember, Calabasas now taking lead into the half because of the missed PAT.
And before we put that last play to bed, Danny, you have to give credit to the wide receiver on the play, Connor Sagendorf. It's always an awkward spot when, as a receiver, you're put in a position to play defensive back. He does a nice job, even though he's posted up and fronted by the defensive back, to make sure that as soon as the ball is there, hands in, rip the arms down, immediately go for the tackle and prevent it from being an interception. Granted, probably about the same spot where a punt would take. Flag for a delay of game here. But smart football play from Sagendorf.
The ball could have been returned easily, and with all the speed in that Calabasas backfield, I'll tell you this too, at least as I look at the signs from Rick Clausen, it seems that Clausen is waving off the punt returner and just saying, don't even return it, don't even worry about it. Oh no, now he's leaving him the option to return the football. And this ball is punted away and hits a Buena player. It doesn't really matter one way or the other. 1st and 10 from the 31, and this will probably be the most uneventful play of this entire game.
Give all of us an opportunity. Catch our breath.
Yeah, I mean, Clausen has the headset off. I think they're just going to take a knee and head to halftime, and we will do the same. What a game this has been so far. It's nearly 9 o'clock, and we're just hitting halftime.
Again, John, stretch that deadline. Stretch that deadline.
Coyotes will run a play. I mean that literally and figuratively. As ball's carried out to the 40-yard line, and that nope, hold on.
First down run by Hillman.
Yeah, it was a first down run from Hillman. And now we're done. That brings to a close the opening half of play, and what a half it was as Calabasas returns to the playoffs. They lead the Buena 28-27 on the VCS Preps Game of the Week. We're going to step away here at the break. We'll be back with the second half of this enthralling contest, the Western Division round on the VCS Preps Game of the Week.
CIF Southern Section playoff game. Crespi, 31. Santa Margarita, 13. Modern Day, 21. Westlake, 0 at halftime. Southern Section playoffs, I want to thank Farmers Insurance. At Farmers, we believe in smarter coverage, because the more you know, the better you can plan for what's ahead. Find your local agent at 888-96-FARMERS. We are insurance, we are Farmers. Listen up, sports fans. Stop by your local sports authority to find all the gear you need for your favorite sports. They're proud to be the official sporting goods retailer of the Southern California Interscholastic Federation. Sports Authority, all things sporting goods.
We return to Calabasas High School for the second half of this playoff contest as the Calabasas Coyotes lead the Buena Bulldogs 28-27. My name is Danny Page. With me, Eric Evelhawk. And Eric, I warmed up at halftime. You know, I got the scarf going. I got a little warm hat. May or may not have a large bird on top. But one way or another, this promises to be a brilliant second half of play, doesn't it?
Well, with the team separated by only 1 point, the yardage as well, about as close as you can get without being even. Calabasas passes for 146 yards in the first half, Buena for 139.
Wow.
Calabasas runs for 57 yards in the first half, Buena runs for 72 in the first half.
Tennyson gets out to the 28-yard line. Pretty similar stats, Eric, a similar score. Anything else you have for us from the statistics department?
Well, the big receiver in the ball game has been from Buena. MacArthur with 3 grabs for 87 yards, including 2 grabs of 40-plus yards. Look out for number 84 in white here in the second half. He's been a real big-time, big-play receiver for them the last few weeks.
So we just started the second half here, obviously, at Calabasas High School. In one game that we're following, it's almost over, as Oxnard is trailing Torrance with 4 minutes left in that game. It's hard to believe that we're just getting started with the second half. I really do think in some ways this might be the final game played tonight in the state of California, with a lot of games kicking off at 7:30. This one might go later than any of them, though.
Well, and the 7:30 start, you have to like it because it gives the fans from out of town, from up in Ventura, the time to wrangle the traffic that is coming through Ventura County down the 101.
No, absolutely. As here's a catch from Blaine Bennett.
Oh, boy,
Blake Burnett, pardon me, I'm going back to last year.
Burnett just got absolutely hit stick by Sylvester Robinson. You know, we talked earlier about how coaches like to see the wrap and tackle, but man, in that case, Robinson just so much force, basically able to chest Burnett to the ground after the gain of 9.
As I mentioned, it's been a career season for Blake Burnett, not just for him, but for any Buena wide receivers. Holds the school record with receptions in a single year. I have that unofficially at 70. Martinez to carry on his own on third down, tries to reach the ball out, and it's fumbled. No, they'll say he was on the ground before he lost the football. Fourth down, though, Calabasas holds, and Buena likely forced to punt. 4th and 2.
First real big defensive stand we've seen in this ball game from either team. We've wondered who was going to be the first to force the other side to give the ball up. Buena was able to create 2 turnovers in the first half. This, the first punt that we'll see here in the second. Remember,
I think we only saw one in the first half, right?
Well, you had the one right at the end of the half, and you had the one that Calabasas muffed.
It's a fake. A fake for Buena. Room to the right-hand side, and the outback is tackled just beyond the first down marker. What a call. Tyler Oliveras, a sophomore defensive back, gets the first down, and it's a huge play for the Buena Bulldogs.
Well, for Buena, it's the 11th first down that they've picked up in the ball game. Calabasas has only picked up 7. You talk about the difference between these two teams. The Bulldogs much more workmanlike, work the ball down the field, several plays to drive. Calabasas more big play in their make. That's the first real gutsy call, and a great bit of execution to pick up the first down by Oliveras. But looks like we have another delay of game infraction coming here.
This time against Buena. What a play, though. A brilliant call. I'm giving some credit to the crew up here in the booth. I think they might have helped orchestrate that one. Big play for Buena as they were set to punt the ball right back to Calabasas. And it turns momentum at least a little bit here, although they march right back and it's just first down and 15. Let's see where this drive goes now. It's a great call on the fake punt, but what happens next, Eric?
That's what we're here for, Danny.
Inside handoff to Cookson. Not much, at least on this play. Second down and 15 coming up. Analyze Cookson's game that he had for me. Is far as his performance running the football in that opening half.
Well, Cookson's done pretty much exactly what Buena looks for him to do. He's not one of these big home run hitting type running backs. He's one that just keeps beating you, picking up yards. There were only a handful of times he was able to run for more than 6 yards from the line of scrimmage, but in piling up 47 yards through the first half of play, and now 2 carries here in the second half, as it looks like Buena, real early call for their first time out of the
There was an
second
injury
half.
on the field, though, and one of the Buena linemen, Justin Price, I believe, forced off of the field, so probably the right time to call a timeout. He showed a little bit of an injury just as the team was lining up. We have our first final score involving a Ventura County team here in the postseason, pretty much the opposite of what we're seeing here tonight in the Northern Division. The defending champions in the Northwest, 2-time section title winners Nordhoff, they're out. They lose to Arroyo Grande 7-0.
Wow.
We had that many points scored here in the first 2 minutes.
2 minutes, first 57 seconds.
I know, first 50, 53, I want to say, but something right along those lines. Within the first minute, we had 7 points.
And you know, it's a real step up for Nordhoff this season, moving up a level in divisions as far as that goes. A lot to be proud of out for the boys out in Ojai. They may not be hoisting CIF hardware this year. Another good season for the Rangers.
Buena with trouble getting alignment on this late even. The replacement is number 76, Steven Islas. MacArthur, the motion man, has had a really good game. Martinez rolls to that side. Now just heaves it up downfield. Having to come back for the football is Blake Burnett, and it's underthrown. The corner on that side in coverage, Nasir Bright, didn't even see the ball and how short it was thrown. Otherwise, he was coming back for that. He might have been able to make an even better play on it. Penalty flag down deep in the backfield. And this will apparently be marked off against Calabasas.
Well, penalties in the first half. We talked about how both teams had their struggles at times. 5 flags against apiece. This dead ball or personal foul roughing the passer that gives a first down to the Bulldogs. At that penalty by Calabasas, they're 6th in the ball game. 66 yards in penalties. Buena's been flagged 6 times for 50 yards of infraction.
It seems like all of the Calabasas penalties have been infractions that granted chunks of yards to Buena at important times, though. 1st and 10, fresh start again. Here's Cookson, gets around the corner at the 50. Cookson dives ahead, he picks up 8. Nice lengthy drive for Buena here. If they had their choice, as Cookson's a little hobbled and he's going to come out of the game here. I think if Buena had its choice, they'd like to hold the ball for a good 6 minutes on this drive, keep it away from the Coyotes.
Well, this is what we talked about in the first quarter with Buena taking so much of the time up. I wonder if Calabasas' defense is going to be able to have their wind and still be at optimal setting here in the second half.
Tennyson fumbles. The sophomore drops the ball on the pitch. He had to come in to spell Cookson. And that's a good 6-yard loss. Tennyson, the transfer from the Bakersfield area.
The good thing, though, even with the fumble on the play, he ends up recovering it. You don't want to give it away there, particularly with the ball near midfield. In Calabasas, we've seen they've been so successful offensively every time they've touched the ball, and that's been a lot of the time because they're starting either near or on plus side of the 50.
Yes, Buena doing well to shift the field position game on 3rd down. Martinez will run on his own, a nice cutback, and he has the first down. A big 10 yards for the Buena quarterback, and they are making the right plays at the right time here. Just grinding out yards.
11-yard run by Martinez on the keeper. Noah with 2 touchdowns already in the ball game. That with the run puts him to 36 yards rushing in the ball game.
Couple of really interesting scores coming into us. I'll get to momentarily. Cookson's back in the game, and he's dropped for a loss of a couple yards. Atascadero is back out in front of Thousand Oaks, 41-34. How about this? DeAndre Vines with a touchdown catch to pull Pacifica within one. The PAT, Eric, 9:53 left in the fourth quarter. They trail by a point, does Pacifica. Ventura's in control at halftime, by the way, 35-0. So a win for the Cougars, last we saw at least, would hand us a Ventura versus Oxnard, City versus City quarterfinal in the Western Division.
Wouldn't that one be fun? Battle of two real well-touted running backs. Tyler Peralta for Ventura and Raymond Caldera for Oxnard.
Well, it'd be in Ventura versus Pacifica. I'm sorry.
Right.
I meant City against City.
That's
battle.
right. That's right.
I wasn't too clear on that one, but well, it's Vines taking on, obviously, Mr. Peralta. 3rd down and 9 now, but Pacifica is going to need another point. And, if you're not following us, you really should follow along on our Twitter account or in our chat room, interactive chat room just below the YouTube window, and you'll see that I've taken cover in my parrot hat and scarf. Thanks for the photo, Anthony. Really charming. Here's Martinez flushed out of the pocket. Looks like he might. Then he throws it downfield. Open in the end zone. That's caught. Touchdown Bulldogs. 36-yard strike. Blake Burnett. Buena back in front. When it looks like Calabasas has them completely covered, this young man Martinez makes a play.
And that's what we talk about, keeping the play alive with your feet as a quarterback. That's all Martinez, getting out of the pocket, rolling, busted coverage downfield. Burnett knows, get to the end zone, my guy will find me. What a find there, and an opportunity to push the Bulldog edge back up to 6.
And that kick is good. It is back to 6:34-28. Big news coming in, though. You mentioned Raymond Caldera. He scores a touchdown for Oxnard with 25 seconds left. And the Yellow Jackets lead Torrance 28-23. It's been a long time since that team won a playoff game. And the Yellow Jackets may be on their way to the second round. What a win that would be.
Well, I got the opportunity to coach Mark Beckham after their demolition of Wainimi in Week 9, and he told me that the thing that Oxnard likes to do every season, win their rivalry games, win the league like they did with the Pacific View League, and put themselves in position to make a run in the CIF postseason. Man, when you've got a running back like Raymond Caldera with big, sturdy shoulders, you certainly can make more than runs on the field. Sets up well for a run deep through the postseason.
He is a talented running back. Ventura 42-0 now, by the way, over South Torrance. 8:10 left in the third quarter. Grace Brethren's leading by 20 points as well. Another short kick. Who will this be taken by? It's taken by the up back, but he runs into the return man at the 28-yard line, and that's where Calabasas starts, trailing by 6 now.
So now we see what Coach Clausen and crew has cooked up in the halftime locker room here with their first touch of the ball here in the second half. And it takes all the way until well past the midway mark here of this third quarter.
Huge drive in that regard, Eric. 6 minutes and 25 seconds. That's exactly what Buena wanted. Dogs would love to get a stop.
One of the few times that Calabasas as well has had to go more than 70 yards if they're going to put a touchdown on the board.
Gebbia keeps it. Still ends up getting 4 yards there. Second down and 8. Davila with the tackle. And we'll call it 7. Already almost to the 5-minute mark. And here's Hillman. Hillman gets 2 yards. Third down and 5. I just don't think this game could have maintained the same pace it had in the first half here in the third quarter.
Well, not everybody has a nice, warm, colorful parrot hat to wear to keep themselves toasty on the field, Danny.
Seriously. Let's just get on with this thing, I suppose. You see that a lot, though. You'll see really high-scoring first halves, and then you'll see more of a chess match in a lot of high school games in the second half. As this is to Osachukwu, and Mason Belling hauls him to the ground. And ends up coming back to Belling. It looked like there was a late flag. Perhaps a Buena player I thought may have come in late. The flag is down 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. And this could, yes, and this will hand Calabasas first down after a personal foul, I want to say. Let's see what it is specifically. I may be mistaken here, Eric, but it looked to me like a Buena player came in late.
Well, it's one of those plays where the receiver is still upright. Flag will be picked up on that. And the reason I gave the initial ooh on the play as it happened is that whistle doesn't go with the forward progress being stopped. That's a great job by Belling, keeping the receiver upright and ripping and tearing and getting the ball out. Whistle doesn't go. That's a defensive score.
Lewis Goodman back to punt. The first punt of the night for the Coyotes. Here's Castillo. Back to receive on fourth down. Nearly blocked. He calls for a fair catch, does Castillo. Buena with decent starting field position, though, at the 35-yard line. Well, big moves made in this half from the Bulldogs. The fake punt on fourth down. The long touchdown pass. I think a play that gets lost is right in between that. Martinez, what he was able to do on a designed run on 3rd and 9. Doesn't always work out that way for a quarterback, does it? But when your quarterback was your running back, the odds are ever in your favor. Oxnard has hung on to win. 25 seconds left. They take the lead, and then they survive the final moments of that game. Cookson thrown to the ground. 5-yard loss on the play.
Arthur Caslow read that one like a textbook, immediately busting in from his linebacker spot and dropping Cookson for the loss of 4.
2nd and 15. Martinez flushed out of the pocket. This is where he does his most damage, and he does right there. Completes it to Blake Burnett. And Burnett ultimately goes out of bounds at the 40-yard line. This is the best I've seen this Buena offense look in a long time. And again, there have been issues in recent years with quarterbacks being knocked out for the season. Obviously, Kendrick Mathis was forced to move into the quarterback position as a running back, but the way Noah Martinez throws on the run like that, there's something very natural about it. 3rd down and 4.
Sure doesn't look like a converted running back.
Nope. Throws this here to the tight end who has to cut back. Picks up the extra yard. Big first down for the Buena Bulldogs.
Stephen Duarte went out in the first half looking like he was injured. Great job coming back on the play.
It looks like he stepped out of bounds as he dove forward. To me, that looked like a first down. Wouldn't you agree?
I certainly thought he was out of bounds at the 47-yard line, but good eyes by the official on the far sideline to catch the foot just shy of the sticks.
On 4th down, Cookson might have had 6, but there's a penalty flag for illegal pursuit. Oh, absolutely killer. And now Buena may be forced into a punting situation. I know defense stopped, but Cookson had the first down and maybe a lot more. All tied up the 101 freeway, Atascadero 41, TO 41.
It's quite a trip up the 101.
Yeah, that's a long trip up the 101, that's for sure. Same trailing Norco by a point, 42-41 with 4:22 left. They have the football on their own 30. So Buena not able to convert another fourth down. They punt away, and Brown calls a fair catch at the 37. What is this? We're not going to have a quarter with 28 points scored, or 27, I should say, because that was the case in the first two quarters, a minimum of total points.
You know, it's interesting with the growth of the advanced stat movement in so many sports, started by the sabermetrics of Major League Baseball. You see player efficiency and defensive usage in the NBA, hockey using its shot analytics. It's always interesting to see how once teams sort of figure things out and know what they're going against, how things tamp down, regression to the mean, if you will.
Absolutely. As here's another regression on first down for one of the. There have been a few first down procedure and delay penalties. 1st and 15.
"71 yards in penalties tonight by Calabasas. That's something Casey Clausen, head coach of Calabasas, is certainly not going to be satisfied with.
Inside of 3 minutes is the commentator. I'm not satisfied by it. That's complete to Keyshawn Jr. Fumbled! Call this incomplete.
Ooh, that's a bit of fortune for Calabasas. Sure looked like a catch football move, and trying the little bit of sneaky handoff to Emmanuel Olsen. A great
Forward pro. Norco 30. It's Norco ball with Seraphs trailing by 1. May they be headed out in the opening round here?
And that Pac-5 is just such a tough nut to crack.
They're the only Ventura County school to win a Pac-5 game in these 3 years. They have done so in the last couple seasons, going down. And that's complete. Other side of midfield, and finally the Coyotes with a conversion in a big moment, and there is a player on the ground and in a lot of pain.
Looks like it may be Jermani Brown.
I think so. Brown is down, and as soon as he hit the deck, Calabasas players called for him to come over to the near side. Called for the staff to come over to the near side, I should say. And Coach Clausen is now out there as well. Tim Gutierrez looking on, and there's a real hush that has fallen over the stadium. Jermani Brown, talented wide receiver. This point in the season, a really unfortunate injury. You don't want to see anyone undertake any sort of serious injury. It's a huge applause.
Danny, I know that we were kind of talking a bit jokingly earlier about the conditions and it being quote-unquote California cold, but this is the type of weather condition football players here in the 805 are not used to playing in. You have a nice bit of, not want to say humidity in the air, but you've got the heavy air to it. I'm trying to say that
freezing.
The moisture in the air makes things that much colder, and you really have to make sure that you're staying warm, you're stretching on the sideline, because when muscles tighten up in a game like this, it makes every hit that much more impactful and that much more painful.
Jermani Brown's not putting any pressure on that left leg. They'll bring him over to the training table. Pass it. Hillman. Hillman goes up and over. Eventually comes down at the 31, and despite the Brown injury, this Calabasas team is starting to regain some momentum. Our best to Jermani. He's in a lot of pain. We hope that young man's okay. Calabasas is speeding things up. They want to go back to work right away, trailing by 6. Throwing Osachukwu, and he just couldn't catch it with his eye. Might have been able to reach an arm out and pull that in, but Osachukwu didn't really see the ball well. Second and 10, and Gebbia pressured to Hillman. Hillman cuts inside at the 20.
Ooh, that's a dangerous move that he does with the ball in his left arm there. He's just asking to get the ball popped out, making a move like that, but smart passes by Gebbia in picking up the last 2 first downs for the Coyotes. Buena is giving the running back Hillman out of the backfield. Get it to him in space and let him make a play.
There is 1 minute and 22 seconds left in Ricky Town's career. His team trails by 8, but he has the football. One last chance for Rick. Pitch right side, Hillman. And Hillman's bottled up. He did it again there, Eric. He tried to reach forward, I think, for an extra yard or 2. Pacifica had a chance to take the lead over Redondo. It's a 26-yard field goal. Come on, Tritons. Let's get it together.
As it stands right now, a missed kick and extra point looming large in this game as well, particularly with Calabasas on the drive.
Here's Hillman. Takes another big hit at the 11. Brings up a 3rd down and 4. And that may take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll see if the Coyotes want to run one more play, or if they want to talk it over on 3rd down. They probably will run one more play. 10 seconds. Gebbia running left. Runs it on his own. Mason Belling is there. And that did work on 3rd down. And the Clausen boys will have a minute to think this one over here at Keith Ritchie Field. The 3rd quarter comes to a close. And boy, some crazy things are happening in high school football involving Ventura County teams. The Atascadero 48 game. This is Hawk 34-28.
Everything that you could ask for, lots of back and forth, excitement in the first half, teams trading blows as if it's a prize fight, and here in the second half with the chill settling in, chilling the torrid pace of points. And boy, 4th down and 4 with your team trailing by 6. The defense has been able to get 2 stops here in the second half. I'm almost tempted to say take the points here, knowing that it makes it just a 1-possession game because of that missed extra point in the second quarter by Buena.
I think decent idea. I'm just not sure it's going to happen. Necessarily agree with you. You got to go for it, Hawk. Come on, this is the playoffs. This is this Southern Section Western Division first round in the playoffs in 13 years. Did you come here to kick a 20-yard field goal? No. Maybe.
I'd imagine they came here to win.
Gebbia is coming out. 4th and 4. There's a player we haven't really seen in on the far side of the field for Calabasas. Jake Barton at wide receiver, perhaps because Barton's on because Jermani Brown seems to be probably done for the evening, and there's a timeout on the field.
Perhaps looking
Calabasas
to see what the Bulldog defense was going to do coming out from the break for determining the course of action. Now 2 timeouts each side for this final 12 minutes of action.
Another Ventura County team returns to the playoffs after an extended spell away. And another Ventura County team is done. Royals out. They lose to Paso Robles 42-14. Grace Brethren looks like they're going to go on to defeat Webb. It's 49-22 in the fourth quarter. Atascadero still leading TO 48-41. What do you do on fourth down here, you think?
Well, knowing that Calabasas is going for this here, I look for a slant over the middle. If you look at the way that this set is being lined up, both Osachukwu to the near side, pick your poison. Looks like Buena's overloading the coverage to that side of things.
Hillman has been crucial on plays like this, getting that extra yard or two when necessary. Now the Calabasas players are confused again, and they're going to spend another timeout.
Wow.
They had the time between the quarter to think this over. They've taken 2 timeouts now. All right, I'm with you. Should have kicked the field goal.
Right? It's certainly a whole lot easier to execute snap, hold, kick than
Whatever
to figure out
yeah.
spread it wide.
Fourth down and 4, and again, I like the idea of giving Hillman the football in some way, shape, or form.
Get it in his hands, get him in space. Perhaps that's why they're looking to spread things out. 2 receivers on opposite sides of the set. You have the option for the slants over the middle. If the linebackers get preoccupied with that, dump it underneath the number 4 in space and let him make something happen.
Inside the final half minute, Ricky Town trying to put a drive together as the Serifs are inside the Norco 15-yard line. Here's 4th and 4 here.
Ooh, blitz shown?
All really happening right now, isn't it? Gebbia throws, intended for Keyshawn Jr., incomplete. He wanted a holding penalty. So does Casey Clausen. Not happening. The Bulldogs hold.
And he had Hillman over the middle. If he was looking that way, the sophomore locked in on Keyshawn Johnson Jr. But no time comes off the clock.
I know, that's what I was looking at. It's kind of odd that no time elapsed off the clock. They should have run the clock and at least taken about 6 seconds off. But a missed opportunity on fourth down. Could have taken the points, which you suggested. You would have spared yourself 2 timeouts as well.
And made it a 1-possession game. Still, it technically is, but.
Here's Martinez. He completes this on first down, and a big play for Duarte. Gives the Dogs a whole lot of room up to the 37-yard line. Boy, it looked for a moment earlier in the game like Duarte's day could be done. But now he makes a big grab for a, 25-yard gain? Buena's in business.
And this is where we wonder now about that Calabasas defense. They've had to make a lot of plays this ball game. Can Buena grind them out here? Not going to be able to, certainly when you've got your offensive line, Coleman there making tackles for you in the backfield if you're Buena.
They answered your question pretty quickly, I think. Ricky Town to Liddell Atkins with 14 seconds. St. Bonaventure within 2. Town Gill on the 2-point conversion. It's 49 all with 14 seconds left. Well done, Ricky.
He's not ready for you to do tunnel vision features about him
no,
just yet.
He's not ready to head to Troy yet. Here's a completion to Blake Burnett, still going right side. Gets back the initial yardage, but importantly for the Dogs, clock keeps running. Simi Valley handling North Torrance 48-12. Speaking of county playoff games, the idea of a semifinal between Ventura and Simi seems fun. And both are cruising here in their opening round contest. The Serifs, unbelievable that they, as somehow Martinez gets away, dumps that off, but a great play from the linebacker, Arthur Caslow, who comes in. And I think Martinez could have dumped that off to Duarte, who had some room to run, but it was Caslow's play on the backside that made the difference.
Caslo's been making a lot of plays in the backfield here in the second half for Calabasas. Martinez does very well to get away from what looked like a black hole surrounding him. Normally not even light can escape from one of those. Not so for number 6 in white.
4th and 9, Buena forced to punt. Shout out to the Caslo family, by the way. Plenty watching here on VCStar.com on the Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. As the motion is away from this kick, it'll be down at the 36-yard line with 9:51 left in the fourth quarter. Yes, for all your vacation needs, visit your local Ventura County Auto Club office in Ventura, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, or Simi Valley. Just head to aaa.com/travel. Book all your Thanksgiving travel plans through AAA Travel. All right. Remember, if you like being in the know, especially with what happens in prep football, subscribe to the Ventura County Star. Discover what's happening in your neighborhood at a price less than your daily cup of coffee. You can be informed and stay in the know. Sign up right here. VCStar.com. You're going to want the paper in the morning. I guarantee you that. Read about everything that happened this evening.
Or get a digital subscription. Read it all on your tablet.
Or do both. Thrown to no one in particular and far away from Osachukwu. They haven't been able to go to him as consistently as I might have liked, Eric. You know, he had a couple big catches on the opening drive, but we haven't seen as much from him as we might like.
Yeah, 4 grabs for 51 yards unofficially in the ball game for Osachukwu. And credit to they've clearly, after the big catch on the first drive, been looking at him make a big stop against him. And, man,
that was quite a play as it goes off Osachukwu's hands, hits a Buena defender on the helmet. I know Osachukwu can haul it in. You know, he's one of the many kids on this team for Calabasas that wasn't playing football in past years. And one thing Casey Clausen did is he just took a stroll through campus one day. And an administrator took him around and he said, you know what? That kid should be playing football. Let's get him to come out and play. And that was a really, important element of getting this team together, is finding kids on campus that weren't playing that should have been.
And somebody who played in the SEC certainly has an eye for football talent.
Absolutely. 3rd down and 9. And Keyshawn Jr. with a big catch. He was at Mission Viejo last year. And the young wide receiver transfer, now a junior, makes a big grab on 3rd down. Number 17 making his pops proud.
First down of this fourth quarter picked up by the Calabasas offense.
Fake to Hillman. Now downfield. Almost intercepted. In and out the hands of Moises Vargas, but there's a penalty flag down. Probably would have been coming back anyway.
Looks like Oliveris going to be called for the hold on the play.
That was a sneaky penalty. Pass interference on the defense. Yeah, it looked like he might have shoved Osachukwu just a little bit. Oliveris is a talented sophomore. He's going to be a star at Buena in the coming 2 seasons. Atascadero ends up beating Thousand Oaks 48-41. Gillum throwing an interception in the end zone. Good luck next year to Thousand Oaks and Max. I'm sure they will reload, be ready to go. Here's a handoff to Hillman. Hillman with a nice stiff arm on Belling. He stays on his feet. Only gets an extra yard. This drive has only taken 30 seconds so far, which is really hard to believe. A couple incompletions, a penalty. Big grab from Keyshawn Jr.
On a 3rd down and 10, no less.
2nd and 8 here. 2 wide receivers far side. Jermani Brown is out of the game, and in his place, Barton is the slot receiver. Gebbia throwing to Hillman, and Hillman turned the corner before he hauled the ball in. 3rd and 8 now.
It's been a play that's been so effective for Calabasas here in this second half of action. The few times that Hillman's been caught moving the feet before securing the ball.
He's had a good game. It's just missed out on those couple key plays. Chris Brooks, by the way, was the leading rusher coming in for Calabasas. He's out for this game because of academic issues. Gebbia steps up in the pocket. Will he run? No, he throws. Complete again. Osachukwu down at the 4-yard line. Gebbia was living dangerously, but ultimately he pulled a Noah Martinez and found his man. First down and a 1st and goal.
And that's normally something that you see from more experienced quarterbacks, just feeling the pressure from you from behind. Great sense stepping into the pocket and giving it to Osachukwu alone over the middle.
And Buena forced to call timeout as they couldn't get the proper personnel in. Big game coming up next week in the Northern Division. I'll tell you what, I think we have an idea of where we will be next week. St. Joseph Santa Maria, the private school power in the 5 cities, heads down to Newberry Park. And what a game that would be. I can tell you one thing, that's my first choice. They've been a team that's really been moving up the ranks and quietly growing in hype and stature. And St. Joseph Santa Maria now playing with the big boys in the Pac-7 League up north, and now they'll visit Newberry Park. That would be a good one, I would say.
Boy, what a season it's been for Newberry Park as well.
It was just so much fun to watch, Eric. Have you seen him in person?
Have not had pleasure yet, but man, those Holmes boys, they can ball, as the kids say.
That Westlake game was pretty incredible. 1st and goal from the 4, and soon to be 1st and goal from the 9, I want to say. Nope, 1st and goal from the 2. The most important play of this game may be coming up momentarily. If Calabasas does punch it in, they need to make the PAT.
Still plenty of time remaining here, though.
Lots of time. But you always want to have the lead. Remember, we still to this point, Eric, have only seen 6 points scored in this half. Hillman looks like he's in, reaches the ball out. And it does cross the line. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Coyotes. It's a tie ball game, knotted up at 34.
Second touchdown run of the game for Hillman. He had a 15-yarder. He ripped off on his 3rd carry of the ball game back in the first half. 55 yards rushing unofficially for the Calabasas back.
Here's the big PAT to take the lead for the Coyotes. Hold down, kick on the way. Kick is off the upright and no good. Tied at 34. And it only does this game justice that we'd be even with 8:32 remaining.
W-O-W.
I told you, you just had this feeling that this game to be decided on a missed PAT. Well, I guess it was, but I just didn't think it would end up as a 42-41. I didn't think it would end up a 35-34. I want these two teams to play it out outside of the kicking game.
And hey, fair's fair. Now somebody, well, not as if it wouldn't have been the case before anyway, but a team is going to have to earn that spot.
Yeah.
By scoring points here in the final 8:32. Maybe more? Dare I say it?
Certainly possible. The last overtime postseason game we had on VCS Preps was St. Bonaventure away to Santa Margarita a couple years ago. And the Seraphs back in overtime. They lead Norco 56-49.
Did they not understand the whole regression thing in the second half?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Great work from Joe Curley. I believe it's Joe Curley down at Norco. Whoever's down there, a lot of love for you guys. And now here comes the return from the sophomore again. Getting up to the 35-40, 45-50. It's a foot race at the 40, 25-20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Bulldogs! Tennyson with an incredible response. And Buena's back in front by 6. He just sped down the sideline, Hawk. And you said it, he made a mistake last week and makes amends this week.
Well, we saw in the first half, Tennyson breaking it up to midfield. You just had this sense that he needed one more moment on that to perhaps turn it loose the whole way. 96 yards on the kick return for Anthony Tennyson, and just like that, back in front a matter of 15 seconds later. Maybe this is, again, we're talking a Calabasas team that's had to do a lot of defending over the course of the ball game. Becomes that much harder to make the tackles in the fourth quarter when you're chilled to the bone and chasing someone so fast like Anthony Tennyson.
Sidney Cruft knocks that through, 41-34. What a swing in this game as Calabasas put together their most solid drive of the night, I guess I would say. The drive culminates in a touchdown. It appears they'll go a point in front. They miss the PAT inside of the upright. And then Buena responds with a 96-yard touchdown return moments later.
8-point swing. Now, this is where we truly see the test of sophomore slinger Justin Gebbia. Can he come through again and once more get his Coyotes in position to tie this ball game up?
It may not even come down to Gebbia, Eric. We might see another kick return the other way for a touchdown. You don't know, do you? Not in this contest.
Certainly the first couple returns of the ball game did see some nice speed from Gaston Boucheroux.
Well said. Boucheroux is back to return with the replacement for Jamani Brown, Josh Madison. And Cruft's kick is headed towards Madison. Takes it at the 22-yard line. He couldn't, could he? As he gets to the 36. There's still 8 minutes and 12 seconds left in this game. Ventura has moved on. Congrats to the Cougars. They play at Redondo Union next week, who eliminated Pacifica.
Quite a facility they have at Redondo Union.
Really, is that so?
Had the opportunity to go down there when Ventura College knocked off El Camino College earlier this season. Beautiful facility. Seems like a much nicer Mid-American Conference setup.
Okay. And forward progress. Grants him a yard, not much more. They're going to double overtime in the Inland Empire, 56-56. Westlake again walks away as league champions, but again, they will be knocked out in the opening round. They are trailing Mater Dei by 21 with 2 minutes left. At Pac-5, man. 2nd and 9. Here's Gebbia. Gebbia goes down. 3-yard loss. Big play from the Buena defense, 3rd and 11. I have my note sheet with the times I put together for the VCS Preps postgame extra. This is going to be one lengthy and entertaining highlight package looking back at this game. Gebbia drops and throws it downfield, and it's tipped off the fingertips of the cornerback, Josh Davila. Really nobody home, and choice but to punt.
No other option here. And how about the Buena defense? When you absolutely need to come up with a big play, to come up with the big stop, it starts with bottling up Bouchereau on first down, only giving him 1 yard. The sack on second, bonus, 3rd and long. Not many times Calabasas has had to contend with that as a flag on a play here.
You know, if you looked at the way Calabasas moved the ball in the opening drive, a couple big plays, they scored within 53 seconds. You probably started to think this might be a little bit of a one-sided affair tonight in favor of the Coyotes. Buena was never really intimidated, never stirred by that. The event and the frightened them. And to their credit, they lead and they'll get the ball back. Belling gets a piece of it. Nice block from Belling partially as he laid out for that. And it shortened the length of the punt, although Buena still only takes over at the 37. Belling came in with a brilliant dive, just got a paw on the football. Still ends up being a decent punt, Eric.
It did, but the question now for Calabasas, can the defense come up with another stop here with it still remaining a one-possession game, each team just 1 timeouts left, or has this grinding offense from Buena all game long put them in position to maybe run this one away?
Well, it's the first time we've seen Martinez under center tonight in a situation that's something other than 1st and 1 or 4th and goal from the 1, although they weren't in that situation, pardon me. But you get the point. It's the first time Martinez has been under center with anything but a yard or 2 to go. And you have to believe that Buena might look to grind this out at least for a couple minutes here in the I formation. Martinez blitzed, gets rid of it, and boy, that could have been intercepted. 5-yard loss on the play. Duarte may have done better just to bat it to the ground, although you never really know the situation you're in. Norco has scored and gotten their 2-point conversion, and it's 64-56. Don't tell me that they can make it 64 and go to a third.
To be the last game on the air here in the 8:05.
So that one started 30 minutes earlier.
Technicalities.
Here's Martinez, pump fake on 3rd down. Martinez had his man, but unfortunately for the Bulldogs, they will have to punt away from the 35-yard line. Calabasas could have nice field position, 5:29 remaining.
Great job by the Coyote defense.
Couple other teams are out. Lompoc, the top seed in the Northern Division, tops Camarillo 38-28, and Mater Dei eliminates Westlake 28-7. How do you like that? Calabasas was in the playoffs longer than Westlake. Kind of a technicality, but still. So the two teams just a little bit of ping pong. One punts from the 35 down to the 35. The other kicks from the 35 back to the opposing 35. And that's where the Coyotes start from. Trailing by 7. The missed PAT and the kick return for a touchdown. And what if that young man is a difference maker? Anthony Tennyson. Transferred in from from Bakersfield in mid-August. He's a backup running back, had a fumble earlier in the game, fumbled last week, just a sophomore. Star in the making.
Certainly get the sense we'll be hearing a lot of him.
Reverse, and it's completely blown up by the Dogs. Eric Mecklin. It was Bouchereau on the toss reverse, and that is a 9-yard loss on 1st down. Ouch.
Calabasas perhaps trying to get a little bit too cute with it. Hasn't been much there in the way of trick plays.
Easy completion to Keyshawn Jr. And he just loses his footing. Great throw from Gebbia, and just as soon as Calabasas loses 10 yards, They come back and gain 35. 1st and 10 on the 40. Here's Gebbia. Completes that one. Osachukwu. Osachukwu turns it on and takes it in. A 3-play drive, and the Coyotes are within a point.
Man, oh man. Calabasas has to never out of a ball game when they've got a receiver duo like Keyshawn Johnson Jr. as well as Emmanuel Osachukwu. Just so difficult to defend against and get them in space. Whew. Whew.
Here's the PAT from Clifton. He was in this position a moment ago. So he puts it through, right? There we go, 41-41. It's not possible, is it, that we're going to overtime in this game? There's probably a twist and turn or two remaining in this contest.
Word of warning, don't think I'm going to be able to get down to the field to get quotes from the coaches. The deadline looming approximately 57 minutes at the most from now.
Ricky Town to Liddell Atkins. Pulls the Seraphs within 2, and then Town hits Vines. It's 64-64 going to the 3rd overtime between the Seraphs and Norco, the Cougars. If they go to 4 overtimes, it's just going to break the VCS Preps Twitter account. It's literally not going to work. A lot of fun on this opening weekend of the postseason on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. Remember, this could be a 6-week postseason journey for some teams. Newberry Park with the best opportunity to make a run to the StubHub Center. Here's Tennyson again from a similar side of the field. Tennyson to the 25, and he's run out of bounds at the 30. Nice job from Calabasas in regards to special teams to shove him out of play. 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and maybe more, left to decide this one. And it is chilly. I'm actually pretty well bundled up here in case you haven't checked the Instagram account of Anthony Placencia. Just to bring you up to speed, it is a bone-chilling, man, it says it's 63, 62. I was hoping for a lead. I just wanted to see a 5 on there.
No such luck. We probably have a better chance of seeing a 5 on the scoreboard than on the Mercury.
Yeah. Martinez thrown out of bounds. Literally, there's a better chance of 2 safeties back-to-back in this game, Eric, than I think of seeing the temperature drop down below 60. 2nd and 3. After Martinez was shoved out of bounds. Clock did stop. Game's gone on for more than 2.5 hours already. A little bit longer than the standard game time. Buena changing things up on the near side.
Look at MacArthur, near side sideline. He has been the big play receiver.
Bad snap. Picks it up. Martinez throwing for Duarte. What a play. You can make those sorts of plays when you have a running back playing quarterback. We have truly seen it all tonight. He has the running back hands and the quarterback arm.
Well, and full marks to Duarte on that, too, recognizing the situation, knowing that he's got to get open downfield for his quarterback. Another big reception for a player who was injured in the first half. 4th grab of the ball game, 38 yards receiving for number 80 in white tonight.
Martinez throwing for MacArthur. What a catch from MacArthur. I mean, that was a prototypical 6'3" quarterback stands tall and delivers to an outstanding wide receiver, except the only difference is the quarterback's 5'7", and he's actually a running back, and the wide receiver was certainly underrated coming into this postseason. But they made it look like, good old Brady to Randy Moss on the 9-yard slant. 2nd and 1. Serifs, by the way, 70-64 in that game. They missed the 2-point conversion. Here's a toss to Cookson going wide. He's looking to pick up a first down, and no gain on the play. 3rd and 1. Could Tim Gutierrez and Buena with a first down and their opponents having but one timeout left, could they be lining up for a historic field goal possibly with a female kicker on the field kicking a game winner? What a story that would be.
Oh boy, looks like we got a flag for early motion here for Buena. Goes from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6 on the false start. Let's not put the cart before the horse, Danny.
Well, I think that's also a mistaken approach because it's more likely that, let's say, both teams would score a touchdown.
Right?
3rd and 6 now for Buena. What did you say? Let's not put the cart before the horse?
That's what I said.
Derry Eads, he's alive. He just tweeted out 120 points in the St. Bonaventure-Norco game. 2nd most involving a county team, although that was a long time ago where there was just 120.
Should he be drinking a drink out of a pineapple or something?
Incomplete, and Buena will be forced to punt. Martinez throw goes just behind Blake Burnett. He doesn't leave till tomorrow. And the Bulldogs will punt. A chance for the 2-minute drill for this Calabasas Coyote team. And a 2-minute drill exactly. 120 seconds left. And the punt snap is high. Buena all the way back into their own end, and he falls on his knees at the 13. Oh, what a devastating moment in this contest. Buena had the ball, 2nd down and 1. Cookson ran for no gain, then the false start penalty on 3rd and 1, the incompletion, and the bad snap. And it's 1st and 10 from the 13 for the Calabasas Coyotes. I suppose when you haven't been in the playoffs in 13 years, things have to sometimes go your way. Gebbia going to work right after that play. Fade route, Osachukwu! No. It's a little too deep for him.
You like the moxie, though, to go to the end zone right away on the first play of the drive. Over 300 yards passing thus far in the ball game for Gebbia. Osachukwu with 115 yards unofficially on the ball game. 2 scoring grabs. He's one on might as well test.
The Serifs are out 71-70. They lose to Norco. The career for Ricky Town done at St. Bonaventure. What a way to go out. Here's Gebbia going the same way. Keyshawn Jr. And Moises Vargas had a little hold of his shirt there, didn't he? Wasn't flagged for it, yeah.
Little bit of a push-off from Keyshawn Jr. as well.
Wonder where he learned that move from.
Surely not his old man.
No. 1:45 left with the game tied at 41. 3rd down and 10.
Both the plays have attacked the left corner. You wonder if maybe they look to the short side of the field here. They do have Bouchereau over there on the outside.
Although Keyshawn and Osachukwu both near side. 3rd and 10. Gebbia steps up, throws that same way. What a play from Mason Belling. The linebacker has made big plays all season long. ever since, should say all night long. He was out with a collarbone injury for most of the year. Came back last week against Ventura, and Belling makes a huge play there.
For the moment, Buena saved by the Belling. How about that? Second game of the year, comes in, gets to play against the rivals, and only makes the biggest defensive play of the season thus far for his team.
That was huge, and now here's a potential game-winning field goal, and Calabasas will be forced to use their final timeout. Just seems like a young team when there's an error like that, you know?
100 seconds remaining. You certainly would want to save that last timeout just in case anything should happen, but at the same time, there are only so many opportunities you're going to have to go ahead in the final 2 minutes of the ball game, so got to make sure that everything's set. Snap, hold, kick, with a chance to go ahead on a 30-yard field goal attempt.
The Bulldogs, only one timeout remaining, but 100 seconds, probably plenty of time for them. They'd get the ball with 95 seconds left. Cameron Clifton is the kicker.
Remember, he has missed an extra point, clanking the right upright.
Jake Barton to hold. This from 30 yards out. The snap's down, the kick's on the way. It is just a little, no, it's wide. I thought it would come up short, wide and short. Clifton just can't get enough leg on it in these cold conditions. And Buena has 95 seconds to win this game.
Like he may have had just enough leg to it, but Florida stated it. Wide left.
I thought it was going to come up short. It looked like he tried to go a little too conservative with the pitching wedge.
Well, Buena, if they're going to advance in regulation here, going to have to traverse 80 yards.
Here's Martinez. Complete pass, 35, 40, and hauled down from behind. Ultimately is Blake Burnett. Fine tackle on the play from Vuka Bradovic. Or Blake Burnett might have taken that all the way. Big gain from Buena on first down, 29 yards.
Gives Burnett over 100 yards receiving in the ball game.
Martinez all day throws this way, and it's over the head of his intended target, Sagendorf. 2nd and 10, 1:19 left. This has to be a, kind of a loose way, a relaxed way to run a 2-minute drill, because if you don't turn the ball over, you're probably going to overtime. Your opponent does not have any timeouts. They can drive down the field in a flash, but at the same time, you know that you just need to make a couple plays, and worst case scenario, OT.
I hate using this phrase since most of the players participating can't do it, but you're playing with house money at this point.
That overthrown for Sagendorf, and now it's 3rd. And Buena certainly does not want to give the ball back to Calabasas with over a minute left. But you're right, that's very well put, Eric, here on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. We've had some tremendous ones all season long. And in the opening round of the postseason, all tied up at 41 with 1:15 remaining. 3rd down and 10 for Buena at their own 49-yard line. Martinez, screen pass, anybody's ball. No ball. The Bulldogs will punt back to Calabasas.
1 minute, 11 seconds left. There's still time when you consider the playmakers that Calabasas has, and I was just about to say, for a moment you had Osachukwu dropping back. Coach Clausen calling him back over to the sideline saying, no, we're going to need you when Gebbia is throwing.
Probably a good call. Boucherou back to return. The snap is bad again. The punt is away this time. We have seen it all tonight on special teams here in the fourth quarter. A missed PAT, a missed field goal, a pair of poor punt snaps, and a kickoff return for a touchdown. It has been a wild game and a wild night in Ventura County. One thing you are certainly going to want to do in the morning is pick up your copy of the Ventura County Star. VCStar.com is your local news site, and if you like being in the know, subscribe to the Ventura County Star and discover what's happening in your neighborhood at a price less than your daily cup of coffee. You can be informed and stay in the know. Sign up today, VCStar.com. 1st and 10 on the 19.
Remember, no timeouts for the Coyotes here.
58 seconds left, and Eric Hillman gets 5 yards. They're playing for overtime. Interesting with the clock running now down to 45 seconds. I think they could go for it here, especially with what Junior and Osachukwu have been able to do. And Keyshawn Jr. gets downfield and gets out of bounds. First down, Calabasas. 33 seconds left. I corresponded with Keyshawn Jr. this morning, and he said, "Are you going to be doing interviews after the game? I want to be interviewed." And I said, "Only if you make the big play." He just might. Gebbia completes that to Osachukwu. A lot of room if you can get it around the corner on the 50-yard line. Down to the 46, 25 left. Penalty flag down. Right at midfield.
I was going to say, I didn't know whether or not Gaston Bouchereau was going to be able to get away with that little touch in the back of the defensive back to spring Osachukwu for just a couple extra yards. It seemed like he was very quick to pull the hands away as if to say, not me, but that's the immediate sign of guilt, and he gets flagged for it.
And that may be the immediate sign, too, that we're heading to overtime. I think at this point, 25 seconds left, you move back to your 35-yard line. Might you even just pack it in and say, let's do this? Casey Clausen says to his brother Rick, no, let's run one more play. See where it goes. 2nd down and 4. Official blows the whistle. The clock does not run because the play prior ended out of bounds, and it's a running play. That will be good for a 1st down, so the clock stops with 19 seconds left to move the chains. Spike the ball is the signal from Rick Clausen. And Calabasas can think things over here. 16 seconds left. I think you could complete a 20-yard pass downfield, which the Coyotes have done with ease, and then take a shot at the end zone. Still 16 seconds left.
This is where the
Nope.
clock stopping really is your ally.
And the
First
clock
down.
will stop, but it will stop at 0. Bonus football to be played on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by AAA Travel. What a night it has been. Look at the smile from Keyshawn Jr. as he walks the sideline down there. He is ready for overtime, and boy, I think we are too. I will tell you one thing. If you're at home watching and you're a Ventura County football fan, get on social media, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, get on your phones, and you tell your friends what is going on here. What I have to say is thank goodness I went and got my parrot hat out of the car at halftime because it's cold.
And the world is a much better place for that.
Take a moment to collect our thoughts. Let's take a really short break here, and we'll come back with overtime on the VCS Preps Game of the Week. We are back with overtime here on the VCS Preps Game of the Week. It's our first overtime game of the season, and if I'm not mistaken, it's our first since the Simi Valley Royal game a year ago, which ended 50-49.
Heck of a time for it. Danny, this is where I am really grateful for overtime in high school to be played under college rules. It's nice to see both teams will get the opportunity with the football, turn off the game clock, start the ball at the 25, the coin flip to determine whether you defend or attack first, as well as which end you go to.
And it'll be Buena football first as they move from right to left. I think that Buena, obviously, had they won the toss, would have elected to play on defense first. But I think it might be a good thing for Buena here to possess the ball first, because Calabasas really started to roll offensively.
Especially since the Coyotes were the side more able to move the football down the stretch there. And again, it's something that I've been turning back to a lot all night. The defense for the Coyotes has been on the field more often than their offense has. So this is where, with the clock no longer an issue, maybe you start working a two-man running game with Martinez and Cookson and just boom, boom, boom in this California chill.
Well, Calabasas brings an extra lineman on the field for perhaps exactly that, although 5 wide for Martinez to open overtime. Brings Cookson back with him, changing things up. Probably needs to run a play pretty quickly here. Snaps the ball. Throws that over the head of MacArthur. You were going to say?
MacArthur made a motion to Martinez, almost as if to say, look for me, I'm going to be open. He did have him on the slant, just a little bit too tall.
Surprised not to see the Dogs go to the run there on first down. Second down and 10 from the 25. Working from the center of the field. Blake Burnett, the lone wide receiver, to the far side of the field. Martinez and Cookson in the backfield. Martinez to throw. Again, flushed to his right. He's out of the pocket. Throws downfield. It didn't reach the line of scrimmage. And I don't know if this is going to be an intentional grounding penalty or a late hit penalty. If it is intentional grounding, is it not from the spot of the foul? Well, there's a second flag thrown in now. Intentional grounding against Buena. Dead ball, unsportsmanlike, against Buena.
Oh, wow.
How do you recover from something like this?
Well, we've seen
On
one
third down.
We've seen one play from the very back of the playbook with the fake punt. Gutsy on the first drive of the second half by Coach Gutierrez. Now, going to have a long way to go here.
The referees need to sort all this out and think about how far back this Buena team will be. So it's the intentional grounding penalty just goes for 5 yards and loss of down. And then the personal foul, unsportsmanlike, after the play brings up 3rd and 30 for Buena.
That's the real killer, the personal foul. Moving the ball all the way back to the 45-yard line.
In the first overtime, 3rd down and Martinez facing a 4-man rush, can step up in the pocket, Throwing downfield for MacArthur into triple coverage, and it's almost intercepted. Basically has to do the same thing. Where's Martinez going on the near side? I think he thought it was 4th down or something already.
Well, it is, but in overtime.
He thought 4th down had progressed, perhaps, yes.
Yep.
Or that perhaps they would punt is what you're insinuating. Gotcha.
Not in the extra session, man.
Not getting away that easy.
Nope.
4th down and 30.
97 yards in penalties on Buena tonight.
20 big ones that came a moment ago. He's just going to have to unleash this downfield.
Might have another 10 coming here.
Yep, and that's incomplete. And more than likely, one way or another, Calabasas will take over 1st and 10 from the 25, needing just a field goal to win this, although they'd much rather get 6 points. That's incomplete. And Calabasas has an easy chance to win this one. Congratulations to Simi Valley. They beat North Torrance 45-19. They go to El Segundo next week. Their first playoff win in 22 years. Well, I certainly hope that, as far as we're concerned on VCS Preps, we have Newbury Park St. Joseph. That's the best game. Might be the only game taking place in the county. Gebbia throws that. Osachukwu taken down inside the 10-yard line.
Great.
A few plays to run it in for Calabasas.
Great tackle by Davila, though, just to make sure that Calabasas has to earn it.
The Coyotes, runners-up in league play, hosting a playoff game, now in overtime, looking to clinch their first playoff win this century. No game from Hillman. 3 hours now, the length of this contest. Second and goal from the 8. Gebbia from the shotgun. Osachukwu, Keyshawn near side. Throws to Osachukwu, who makes the catch. He's down at the 4. 3rd and goal from the 4. And I can tell you this. Casey Clausen does not want to have to put his kicker in the same position that he has already tonight. Under center now. Gebbia with Hillman behind him. Gebbia, quick throw. Osachukwu. Osachukwu into the end zone. Touchdown, Calabasas. 13 years lucky for the Coyotes as they end their playoff drought with an incredible win over the Buena Bulldogs. What a night of high school as these students crowd into the dog pile, into the end zone. The Coyotes, their first playoff win in many years on this chilly November night. Eric Evelhawk, what a game, but what a win for Calabasas.
And this is what we were hoping we would see with the breakup of the Marmonte League last season. Into 3 separate leagues, more opportunities for different schools around the county to have an opportunity to get to the postseason, to have moments like these. What a moment this is for a Calabasas program that is so long stuck under the boot of the likes of the Westlakes, the St. Bonaventures, the Moore Parks. Casey Clausen, the 6th coach in the last 10 years for Calabasas, has done something that none of them have been able to in his first season. Pick up a playoff win for the Coyotes. Calabasas guaranteed at the very least in 2014 a 500 record.
Tremendous night for Calabasas high school football. Incredible performance from the Buena Bulldogs as well. It's so cliched, but it's tough to see either of these teams lose tonight. What a run it was in the fourth quarter and into overtime of this game. Big thanks to our entire crew. Past 10:30 now. We'll make sure to check for your game story on vcstar.com, Eric, all right? It's been a lot of fun working with you, bud. Thanks again.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I look forward to seeing how the rest of the postseason plays out as you can follow it at VCS Preps on Twitter and with the Ventura County Star.
Beautiful stuff tonight. Thanks to John Catalini and everyone back at the Mothership. Big thanks to Anthony Placencia, our producer and director, for my broadcast partner, Eric Evelhawk. My name is Danny Page. The Calabasas Coyotes move on to the second, their first win and their first playoff appearance in 13 years, 47-41.